Mankind, moments from now, inside this boiler room, you're being forced to take on Santa Claus.
Well, if you believe in Santa Claus, then believe this, my friend.
The $1 billion man is Bob Santa!
If he's not the real Santa Claus, give me a hell no.
I celebrate Hanukkah. Why am I doing this?
It's Christmas.
Santa is wrestling Kurt Angle at Armageddon.
St. Nicholas is a saint.
Do it for Santa, man. Santa? Do it for Santa. Do it for Santa. Do it for Santa. Santa.
It's the most restful time of the year.
This is the Christmas preacher.
Welcome to the McGuire on Wrestling Christmas Special, the Holiday Hullabaloo. Here's Mike McGuire.
Hello, welcome to the 2025 Celebrate Wrestling, McGuire on Wrestling Christmas Special, the Holiday Hullabaloo. I'm Mike McGuire, and I am legitimately coming to you from the baggage claim department at the Calgary International Airport. The lady friend and I are wrapping up a quick vacation up to northern British Columbia, and then we took a flight from Prince George, BC, all the way down to Vancouver, and then from Vancouver, where it was a lovely 4 degrees Celsius with a little bit of rain, we're back into the thick of things, minus 20 right here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Now, who's more responsible for that? Is that Bret or is that Lance Storm? I want to say that Bret was probably famous for having it in his ring introduction, but Lance really drew it out, right? With the Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Kind of like being dragged out in a baggage claim line here. We've been sitting at our baggage claim now for about 15 minutes, and I was like, the Holiday Hullabaloo, it's got to be put together. We got to get it going for you. So we're going to do just that, friends. Coming up during this next couple hours, we've got the Hullabaloo roundtable with myself, Mitch Honsius, Dimitri Karolis, as well as Stephen Bennett from the alternate commentary table, and of course, Jolton, Joe Aguinaldo. That is not an official moniker for him, but I'm tired. I've been traveling since 6 a.m. this morning. It's 9 o'clock at night now, so I can't guarantee it's all going to be sunshine and roses. But friends, we've also got some all-star guests coming up for you. You know him as one of the founders of Post Wrestling, a guy I've been waiting to have on the show for a long time. John Pollock is going to be on the show today. Also, some familiar friends in Dan the Mouth Lavransky and Joe Aguinaldo pulling double duty on this show as we get the old bleeps back together for one more time, and we have a little competition between the two. So if you fancy yourself an old school pro wrestling trivia enthusiast, that segment's going to be for you. Also, friends like RJ City, and of course, we have a tradition now, so let's keep the tradition going. For the guy who is notorious for being from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, weighing in at 236 pounds, he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Here for our annual Christmas catch-up, the one and only Bret the Hitman Hart. How are you, sir?
I'm very good.
Thanks for always being a part of this. This is the third year in a row now I've managed to sucker you into doing this, but it's been a big year, man.
Yeah, it has been a good year. Where do you want to start?
Well, that's just it. I mean, we can maybe start from now and go backwards. At the time we're talking here, it's just the end of October. Just a couple days ago, I didn't even know this was coming, but they named a bridge after your dad.
Yeah, what a fitting thing. My dad is, funny enough, he just reminds me of a bridge. Very just solid as a rock, big, thick, solid, like something that's immovable object. It's just, and then being a path, a route, like my dad was a route to wrestling.
Yeah.
And I just think in some ways, especially the fact that it's, within spitting distance of Clearwater Beach, where we all, grew up and spent our summers, as a family. I think it's just really fitting that it's a bridge, a gateway to the mountains, and I just know that of all the things that have come from my dad, whether it's the Order of Canada or different things, the bridge kind of strikes me as the most fitting. Like that, the most. That's something that reminds me of my dad. A strong, sturdy bridge.
There's a photo of you that I saw, and I sent it back to you saying that the pride on your face is immeasurable in that photo. Like, I mean, I've seen you smile for photos 1,000 times, but you know, there's a couple times that are seem a little more significant to me than others, and this seems to be one of them.
Like sometimes you just think that those kind of that he'll fade from memory sometimes, and you know, how important is wrestling in the world of, you know, Canadian history and where Canada's going and stuff like that. And to think that now it's 2025 and he's being honored with a bridge just tells you that, you know, all that charity work that he did and all the things that he did, all the little things that he did, it's just for the community as a citizen. Things that he just knew were the right thing to do. And, you know, I can remember lots of times at the wrestling, they'd pass the hat around and give all the money to somebody that was had their house burned down or something. Yeah. But my dad would do a lot of really good things, and people remember that about him. And you know, it's nice that they thought of this honor of a bridge. And like I said, I love the fact that it is a bridge and that it's you know, it leads in and out of the city, and just to me that speaks of my dad.
So, how long ago did you find out this was happening? How did this come about? Like, I had so many questions. It's just like literally one day I just see, oh, there's Bret. Why is Bret and Bret? Oh, they're naming it after Stu. Okay, this is awesome. How did this first come about?
I was contacted about 3 weeks ago. I think it was when I was in Europe, and I wasn't the best guy to contact,
right?
Because I'm away from home and I can't really call everybody up and explain all this stuff to everybody. So it kind of kept a secret with me dealing with the city and the I'm trying to think of the department at Calgary that it was.
Yeah, like city transport and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look it up.
But yeah, I really wanted it to be. I wanted it to be special, and I knew that. I wasn't sure, like when I was in Europe, whether I should call everybody and make a big announcement about it, because I didn't know the details of it either, when it was going to happen or where it was going to be.
Right.
And so I kind of inadvertently kept a lid on the whole thing until, like, they assumed I've told everybody, but I haven't told anybody. And so I don't think anybody in my family knew about this huge honor until about 4 days before the event. And so, I mean, I did a good job of keeping a secret and keeping a lid on everything. But not that there needed to be. So, I mean, it all worked out. But it's a great honor for the family.
Well, it's one of those things where, you know, like you said, the importance of wrestling can always be up for debate. People are going to do that. But, I mean, bridges normally, I've seen, you know, you get named after, like, great, you know, politicians or maybe soldiers or police officers, things like that, and figures in history. But I think that is a testament to the history of your family and your dad, and I think it makes all the sense in the world, to be honest. Yeah,
it's you know, the fact that you know, I know my dad would be really humbled by that and would be really proud. That'd be something that would have, like, if I could tell him right now and just, you know, let him know that this happened. I think it would really mean something to him. It's the kind of thing that would have meant more to him than a lot of other things.
Like you said, there's been a number of honors and tributes, and you know, it's fascinating to see that a name like Stu Hart still gets celebrated, like you said, so long in life here. I mean, there's a photo going around, and I don't know if you've seen this, but it's a photo of you and your family today, and some people are saying that it's pretty cool to see that Bret is becoming the new Stu, where it's like a photo of Stu and all you kids, and now it's like you and all your kids and grandkids and everybody else. And I'm not saying that to be weird about it, but I mean, have you seen that, first of all? And
no, I haven't seen it yet, but okay. I walk in pretty small footprints compared to what my dad walked in, and I do my best to emulate my dad and make him proud today. And I think he'd be happy with how I've conducted myself and just the way I've lived my life. And But I've always been indebted to my dad, and it means a lot to me when people remember him and respect him. I get stopped like when I'm walking through Safeway by people that tell me they used to, know my dad shopping around in Safeway and tell stories about him shopping with all the carts, and he'd have 5 or 6 carts, like a train going through Safeway. But I remember all that stuff, and I appreciate when people tell me they remember my dad, or remember my brother Wayne or Keith, or remember the old Stampede Wrestling with the Stomper and Ed Whalen. And yeah, I cherish those memories too, and I never mind talking about them. And I'm a meet and greeter all across Calgary.
Right.
Everywhere I go, whether it's whatever end of the city, it's when they see me, and I think this is a compliment, but I think most people feel comfortable coming up and talking to me about anything. And, I don't mind. I actually kind of always remember my dad taking special time with fans and talking to people. Well, and it's just something I don't mind doing.
It's something, too, that as a fan, I've worn a couple of them around you, but, actually, when you got one of your, I think it was Chalk Line stuff or something came in, it was given this giant hoodie, and it's you, like, giant in the front. I don't wear it that often because it almost feels a little weird, but at the same time, when I do wear it, I've had people, like, stop me and be like, I watch, and they're talking to me like they're talking to you. Like, I remember watching him when he was just a boy growing up and watching Stu and all his boys. And so, the lineage is going to be there forever. And now to have that immortalized in a bridge is something special here. I wouldn't be surprised, and maybe it happens sooner than later. I don't know, but maybe we get a Bret Hart monument, something like that.
Yeah, maybe just a big giant statue, a little bigger than the Calgary Tower.
You want to stay humble, though, right?
Pink.
Yeah, pink and black.
Pink and black.
Yeah.
Gold belt on it.
Lots of tassels. Yeah, it'll be good. Good. I want to talk about something that you were a part of that I got to see as well, and that was this Sings in the Ring documentary, where it was talking about Gamma, and you told some amazing stories about being around Gamma when he was obviously working with you and your dad and everybody, and just the importance that Gamma Singh had to the Stampede wrestling scene. So those that haven't seen Sings in the Ring yet, it is streaming now, but what can you tell us about what he's meant to you?
I remember Gamma when he was just a kid, like a teenager, probably about 19 or 20 when he was learning.
Head full of hair,
wrestling with Keith and Smith and Bruce all together. I think Bruce might have been injured, but they were all wrestling together and they were all learning together. And I remember going down there and watching Gamma mostly get stretched, there was a lot of real wrestling going on down there. But, he did all that, and then he got, he was first match. Walking out there being the first match. I remember those for myself, and those are the hardest steps you can take as a pro wrestler. You're the very first ones walking out to the ring when you're skinny, or you feel skinny and young and green, and that's how I remember Gamma. I always remember Gamma starting out at the bottom and literally working his way to the top. By the time I got in the business, Gamma was an accomplished wrestler that had been all over the world and was a good worker. Really had a good reputation for being an honorable guy and a reliable guy, steady guy. And I was always proud of the fact that he started here in Calgary, or I think most pretty much started here in Calgary. And he always represented himself well and carried himself well, and was just a guy that, that I've never met anyone that has a bad thing to say about him.
He got called up to WWF essentially right around the time you did. He came in and made the decision, as they tell us in the documentary, like he had to go home and be with his family. Take us back to that time when you guys are all coming in. The Stampede deal has happened basically, and some of you are getting opportunities to go. Do you think that was a hard decision for him? And do you remember that time at all, thinking to yourself, like, wow, that's something else?
I remember exactly. I actually remember being on me and Gamma riding together. And we were driving down the highway near Albany, New York, or Schenectady, New York. And we hit an ice patch in a rental car, and we were like a curling ball, like just sliding down the highway, spinning round and around and around, like sliding past cars. It was like crazy. I remember thinking that I'm going to get killed, of all places, in Albany, New York, with Gamma. But we were riding together, and that's one of the trips that we were on together, and we made that trip together. And I think that's the last week that I saw Gamma.
Did he give you any sign that he was going to pack it up, or?
No, but I think I could see Gamma not being utilized in any kind of effective way. And I think he saw that maybe there was a chance to make money there, but he was just going to be sort of a name on the card.
Right.
He was never going to get, I think he went there and sort of studied the situation and realized that he's never going to get that big break here. Like, maybe if he'd been a little younger, but I think at that time in his life, it was probably the best thing for him to do. To be, I think he did the right thing. Yeah.
One more thing I want to talk about. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about in this year, but something that I actually just connected with recently. I got to meet Brian R. Solomon, the magazine writer from WWF back in the day.
Yeah.
And he wrote that book on Gorilla Monsoon, which you wrote the foreword on. And me doing what I do, I mean, when you and I first had our talk about me working with Dungeon and everything here, like I've loved wrestling announcers my whole life, and one guy that I never really knew much about outside of what I saw on TV, because I never even grew up with Gorilla Monsoon as the wrestler. I grew up with, red patterned tuxedo Gorilla Monsoon with the blue sunglasses, and I never got to see the monster guy. But you wrote such a beautiful intro to this book for Brian on Gorilla Monsoon. So I'm wondering if you could share with us some thoughts on Gino and just tell us what he meant to you.
I remember Gorilla Monsoon when I first broke in the wrestling business in Puerto Rico, and he was wrestling there, and he was very kind to me about my dad. I remember he made a point of coming up to me and telling me how much he loved my dad and how much respect he had for him, and that was just one of the first things out of nowhere from Gorilla Monsoon. And then years later, I come back, as I started my wrestling career in Puerto Rico. 6 years later, I end up in WWF, kind of starting on the bottom again. And like I always refer to as being a big fish in a little pool, and then being a little fish in a big pool. Mm-hmm. And I just know that my chances of making it back then were so limited. And, it wasn't until guys like Gorilla Monsoon started just praising me for little things like my excellence of execution and, done perfectly, and backbreaker. I would have a match and he'd come back after and go, "Your backbreaker is the best backbreaker in the business."
Wow.
And, he just was a guy that appreciated guys that wrestled really good. And I was well taught. I was a good wrestler. And I owe a lot to Gorilla Monsoon. And when they asked me to do the book, I knew that I would, because I had so much love and respect for Gorilla, that I could do a good job of that. And, I always tell the story about Gorilla Monsoon and my dad. And Gorilla Monsoon was the only amateur wrestler on the 1960 U.S. Olympic team that the Russians couldn't take off his feet. I think he got outpointed, but nobody could take him off his feet. And that was the whole thing, was like he was the only guy on the team that didn't get wiped by the Russians. And he was a heavyweight. And so he broke in the business and was wrestling in New York as Gorilla Monsoon, and then he got shipped up to Calgary. And so comes up to the Hart House, and he's in the dungeon with Stu.
Did he fit?
I don't know. He had a duck probably to get in there, but him and Stu started wrestling, and Stu cross-faced him and busted his nose open.
Oh, jeez.
He's like bleeding like full, like a river out of both nostrils. And my dad's got him hooked with a think my dad's hooked on him like a crab, where he's just like climbing all over him, and he's got him kind of hooked where he can't move.
Right.
And Gorilla Monsoon did everything he could do to get up, like to try to get out of, like, and it was really got pretty testy with Stu and Gorilla and the blood everywhere. And I think it got pretty heated in a way where finally it calmed down. But anyway, the guy that told me that story was Gorilla. My dad used to. I remember I asked my dad about the story where he cross-faced him, and he laughed. He said, he didn't realize that Gorilla was that much to hold on to, but he had to grip him in every possible conceivable way to stop him from like just going crazy, But,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an amazing story. And then the fact that these two guys loved each other the way they did, it was just, there's a certain love that wrestlers have for each other, these big, tough guys that Gorilla Monsoon was one of those big, tough, rugged wrestlers that everybody loved.
Yeah. And I got that vibe from Brian. Did a great job on the book. I don't know if you've got to read the whole book yet or not, but it's for someone who didn't know a lot of Gorilla's life before that, it's an amazing read, and he speaks, talks about times where you were coming in and just trying to help you, stay afloat a bit maybe in the early days and keep things going. So
I remember I'd turn in I had to change my ticket and I'd catch a later flight or something, and it cost me $175 to change my ticket, and I'd turn it in, and he'd give me $300 and make me sign it, just sign for $300. And I was always like, in those days, like, I remember going, I never forgot him. Like that was such a big break for me, to give me just a little bit of a extra little bonus for, I wouldn't even call it a bonus, but just to give me a little extra pay, stuff like that. Do this to some like an old veteran looking out for the young talent of the future. And Gorilla Monsoon was a really good man.
As we look back at the year here, Bret, is there anything else that kind of stands out for you in the last 12 months that makes you go, hey, 2025 was a pretty good year?
I think it's been a good year. I've had a great year. I've seen a lot, done a lot this past year. Compared to a lot of wrestlers, I think every wrestler, and maybe some don't care too much. I don't even know if I care too much, but it's like, you wonder if you'll be remembered 25 years after your career's over. Kind of like, when does it start to fade? And I feel really blessed in the sense that I feel as relevant and significant as I ever was in wrestling, and more kids know me today maybe than they did in the height of my fame. I don't know. But I feel a peace with my career and where I am, and the fact that I think I'm highly regarded by history as the wrestler I was, and that means, when I think back to when I knocked Vince out and left WWF, and I always thought that's it. They're going to erase everything I ever did. No one will ever know about me. I'll just be a guy that's faded from memory. And what's life like after, for like, just when you climb down the fame ladder of pro wrestling. But I've never had to climb down too far. I've always been lucky that I have a lot of respect and appreciation for everything I did, even now.
Well, as a fan, the thing I'm happiest about seeing with you these days is that it's just that. It's not just about the screw job anymore. It's not just about that. There's people that are remembering everything, even the little details. Like there's now a video segment going around of you painting the Nasty Boys. I don't know if you remember this. It was on USA, what was it? Not Primetime Wrestling, but the All-American Wrestling Show, and the talk show gimmick, right?
Yeah.
So you come out in this jacket that I've never even seen before, and I thought I'd seen them all. But you come out and you're showing off your painting of the WWF Tag Team Champions, and here's what I think they look like. And you lift up the paint, and it's the Legion of Doom, right? So it's a hawk and animal. And then the Nasty Boys come out, and of course they're getting all mad at you because they're the champions. And you ask the crowd, so you guys want to see me paint the Nasty Boys? And of course they go, yeah, sure. So you paint them in their face, and you shove and I don't know if it was real paint or not, but you shove a paintbrush in Jimmy Hart's mouth.
It had to be edible.
But that's just it. Like, people are finding all these crazy fun moments from your career. So, again, thank you for everything, as always. Thank you for your friendship, and thanks for being a part of this. I want to start something with you, though, because, as you know, I collect stuff of you, your merchandise and everything else, and I found this is my weird Bret Hart item of the visit this time. I want to take you back to 1987. Do you remember these? And what I'm holding up is Hostess sticker number 30 from the 1987 or 88 WWF sticker series from WrestleMania 4. And it's you and Jim, and you're the only one with your face to the camera, but it's an actual sticker they used to give out in bags of chips.
Yeah, I realize that's me giving the backbreaker off second row.
Yeah.
But, I don't know that I've ever seen this before.
No? Well,
it's like a first time I've ever seen that. But,
I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to crack it open and get you to sign it for me. But these are actually, like, on the collector's market. They're a thing now. Like, this is how bad people want to have pieces of Bret Hart history, so...
Well, that's an authentic old piece. I've never seen it before. A lot of times you don't see stuff that, toys or dolls or posters or something. All of a sudden you see one and you go, geez, I don't remember that. You just, when I think back when I first joined WWF, I remember, my first magazine cover, and I remember, like, thinking at the time, like, that's probably all I ever have is that this one magazine cover. I was like, yeah, well, I made it.
Yeah, I
made it. And, it's like, I was lucky I made a lot of different covers, so it's like...
Well, there's creepy nerds like me that collect all of them, so...
It might as well be you.
All right, well, I appreciate that. There you go. See, he endorsed it, so I'm okay. I'm going to go back to hanging my Bret Hart figure wall up now. But, Bret, thank you as always. Again, this is our Christmas special, so if you want to say any holiday wishes out to the fans out there?
I just want to, want everyone to have a great Christmas and, find a way to do your part to make this world a better place. That's all.
Appreciate it, Bret. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
You're listening to the Celebrate Wrestling Holiday Hullabaloo, part of McGuire on Wrestling, our podcast feed. I am still in the Calgary International Airport baggage claim. I came here clean shaven, and I have a Viking beard now. Okay, I'm starting to look like one of the War Raiders here. But that's okay. That's okay. They assure us our bags are eventually coming off the plane. They haven't even gotten off the plane yet. So let's continue with the guests as we move on in the Holiday Hullabaloo. Well, there's two people I'm never afraid to put on a microphone, and for his third consecutive year in a row appearing on the Holiday Hullabaloo, joining only Bret the Hitman Hart. It's Canada's other favorite legend, RJ City. Hello, friend.
Oh, I thought the other person was Mike Bullard.
Have you?
I was way off base.
he just died like last year too.
Well, these things happen.
Yeah.
You know? I did actually, speaking of Bret, my algorithm is just old variety shows and wrestling interviews. So like I assume yours is too.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I clicked on, it was like Bret's first radio interview after Montreal Screwjob. And I just clicked on it and I hear, Bret, are you there? And he goes, yeah. And they're like, how are you? And he goes, fine. And it's like, that's the best thing in the world.
The more I've got to know that guy, the more understated he is, the funnier it is to me. Everybody's always so excited and he's just so chill.
I will say, I did a pilot with him. I did a couple indie shows with him, but he would always come. When he was in Toronto, he often would come to Comedy Bar because he enjoyed hanging out with comedians. He would go with Roddy Piper and then he would go by himself. And we had quite a few dinners together. And it's criminal how many people don't know how funny he is. Like, genuinely an actual funny person.
So I'll tell you this story, and I don't know how much of it will make it onto the actual pod here, but we brought Bret through where I am in Lethbridge, just south of Calgary, and he's got a partnership with Romero Rum up in Calgary. So they tour a lot of the, the drinking and dining shows and exhibitions like that. So I said, dude, I'm here. Why don't I just save you the hassle and be kind of your, okay, everybody smile guy for holding phones and everything. So we do that. We do a bottle signing at one place. It's great. He got there super early in the morning,
and we did the bottle signing. We had a quick break for lunch, and then it was another like 4 or 5 hours at this basically just mess of a show because everybody's going and drinking and having a good time, and it's all adults.
It's a hullabaloo. It was a hullabaloo.
Exactly, to borrow a term, if you would.
Sure.
Nevertheless, and someone comes up to him, this girl comes up to him, and says, okay, we got to get our picture together, but you got to make it look like you're grabbing my breast. Make it look like you're holding my breast. And Bret's a classy guy. He's not going to do this sort of thing. So I'm there. I'm wearing my suit, trying to look a little more official than I actually am. I'm like, I don't think Bret's wife would appreciate that. Ha, let's do a nice photo, everything else. You could just tell Bret was kind of turned off by the whole idea. So we take the photo, and as soon as she's done, she takes off. I've got a little gap in between where I grab the next guy and bring him in. You know, sometimes you do these meet and greets and things, and you have a conversation with whoever's there, your photographer, handler, or whatever. And there's a little line back and forth. This is probably going to get bleeped out. But Bret looks me dead in the eye and says to me flat out, what's she going to do next? Ask me to make it look like I'm And at that moment, like, we're in the middle of, like, the longest day ever. I lose it because the look on his face, too, is like he's selling it like he's doing a bobblehead motion almost. I lose it to the point that Bret is now openly laughing, which I don't know how many people have actually seen.
Happens like once every 3 years.
Exactly. Bret Hart actually audibly laugh out loud. So the next guy gets the photo with Bret, who is openly laughing, mouth open, ha-haing. He got the best photo with Bret Hart he'll ever get and has no idea why.
Right. He thinks Bret just loves him, gets a big kick out of him.
Yeah,
it is strange. You know, I would say Bret, Jim Ross, and Dean Malenko are three guys who have been so funny, but are so dry, disgustingly Sahara-like dry, that most people don't really know that they're being funny.
See, the Jim Ross one, because I've been following his career for years and I've listened to his pod, I get and I've seen it. The Dean Malenko one, though, that must be fascinating to learn.
Oh, my God. I mean, just go watch the AEW I did with him. It's just constant one-liners, and you're like, where was this on Nitro?
Well, I guess we got to talk about it. You brought it up, and that is that AEW officially no more.
That's true. We had our last episode, 165 episodes, over 27 hours of this, whatever it is. We had the last one. That was it. There's no, like, hiatus. That's it.
So on the show, you give some rather humorous, but I'm always guessing some truth and humor reasons as to why you were wrapping it up. At the same time, I mean, this was a big part of your life. And I mean, the show became an internet success, and I think you did a lot of more than what people expected. You just said
success. You didn't have to say internet success. That's like any time they put the name of a social media app before a celebrity, you go, it's not really a celebrity.
Yeah.
Instagram celebrity, not really a celebrity.
Okay, then. It became a success, RJ.
Thank you.
You did well. You sold T-shirts until they stopped selling them.
Right.
Really, I thought the mugs would be what would really take off. But
the mugs are still a hot seller.
Yeah.
We did well. There's so few wrestling mugs. I don't know why. But, I mean, we also have them on every episode of the show.
But when it came down to this show, the production, everything, this was all you, like, start to finish on every episode, right?
Yeah. It became an unreasonably large part of my life. I will say, I can't remember ever be given a note on what the show is. Tony Khan said, do you want to come in and do sit-down interviews? And I said, okay. And then they looked at me like, what do you want to do? And I said, maybe something like this. At no point has anyone ever looked at my notes or my questions or really given any kind of feedback. And more often than not, they are one take. The guest just never knows what I'm going to ask. They never ask. I mean, I could have shown them the questions. They just never ask. Nor do I really ever know what they're going to say. And that's like, as much as I would come in prepared with stuff, usually their answers would take everything in a different direction. So that was always fun. And yeah, it was chronically under-supervised.
Kind of fun when you think about it that way, though. I mean, in one way, sometimes you might feel like you're on an island and do they even care about what I'm doing? But in the other way, the freedom must be so liberating in addition to what you do
behind the scenes with AEW and other projects you do in your life here, the freedom to just be able to go in and know that you could do whatever has got to be pretty liberating.
Well, and then you go, really? I can do whatever? And then the answer was, yeah. I don't remember much that was really taken out of any episodes. And we talked about some wild things. But I'm also very big on, like, I hate the people, these awful comedians who are like, you can't say anything anymore. And I think that just means they can't because their jokes are not good. And I thought, well, if we frame things the right way, we can talk about them and laugh at them and have them generally well received. So I think that was the case. I mean, we had Kevin Von Erich talking about the Middle East. That was certainly not on my bingo cards.
the Von Erich's episode, yes, it was.
Yes.
Like I said, man, I've been a fan of those since we first started talking. I was watching every one of them, and I will miss it. But at the same time, being a guy that does production and stuff, I get. And I can only imagine how much of your life went into every one of those episodes, just making them look as good as they could.
Yes, and how many awful interviews I had to sit through to make research notes. If anything, it was me lashing out on generic wrestling interviewers. It was my response to that community. But it was really, nice to end the show and have an ending, as much as the ending was just people belittling me to my face. And also, the episode before that was The Rizzler. And you can't get higher and you can't get lower at the same time. So I thought, let's wrap this puppy up.
One thing we haven't done in the times you've been on the show is really dove deep into what you do behind the scenes with the writing and the creative and all the other roles you have there. And I don't want to, again, turn this into your resume and reading things back to you. But I do feel that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know the inner workings. I don't know what goes on there. But it feels to me, especially with certain acts that I've heard you're associated with, that your influence is definitely being more and more seen on TV and not just your influence alone, but maybe your ideas and your assistance with what the wrestlers and what the other performers come up with. Is that fair to say?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't really think I do much of anything because I think the performers are where it's at. They make everything happen. I've seen good ideas become great ideas because of the performers. I've seen bad ideas become good ideas because of the performers. So, at a certain point, I don't think it matters what ideas anyone has. I think, Tony Khan's ultimate strength is picking the best wrestlers. And as much as I don't like saying, talking good about AEW, because wrestling is hard to do. Mm-hmm. So to say it's great or it's better than this or whatever, I just think it's like a stupid game to play. Yeah. We have the best wrestlers. We have some of the most talented people I've ever seen in my life. And they are the people that make it happen,
Be honest, has there ever been a time where you've texted Tony Khan and or called him and then it took long enough to get back and his response was, "Sorry, I was sleeping"? Because I'm not convinced the man sleeps.
No, never. I go to bed early.
Yeah.
I go to bed very, very early because I like to wake up early because I like to get work done before the anxiety sets in. That's my little trick. From 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., I'm so tired that only half of my brain is working, but the half that can get work done. Once it all kicks in, it's over. So he knows this, that I go to sleep early. And then one time it was 6:10 a.m. and my phone rang and it was him. I'm like, what? How? What? And he was on a plane coming back from Qatar. And he was like, I knew you'd be up. It was like, what do you do? What do you eat? How does he work? I really don't get it. Also, I would say, everyone does a tremendous amount of work at AEW. It's hard not to when that's your boss. I've never seen an ounce of relaxation, but he enjoys working. There's no grumbling. There's no, let me take a minute and have a drink.
Yeah.
I don't understand him, but I mean that in a good way.
No, and that's totally where I was going with this because again, You know, I work in the media landscape where everybody's learned. I saw a friend of mine actually who posted why it's important to reach out to news outlets as soon as you can when you have an event or you want something covered, because they're running more efficiently now, which really means there's just less people doing more work. And a company like AEW, or even all the way up to wherever, you know, the biggest Hollywood productions, sometimes you'll hear that there are people that are doing multiple things because that's what they got to do here. So when you're wearing those multiple hats and you see the boss wearing multiple hats, it's hard not to go, okay, well, it's not like the boss is just sitting on his ass doing nothing. We
No, especially when this is one of his 3 full-time jobs.
Well, let's talk about some of the projects you've been working on too, because I know you've been reaching out a little more and getting to do some things besides wrestling, but I'm assuming some of it has come through the connection with AEW and also just your obviously hardworking history of yourself. But I know you're finally getting a little more in tune with the pop culture stuff and also, well, not the current pop culture stuff, but you know
I'm
what
up
I mean.
to 1974 right now.
This is what I meant, more of a retro pop culture sort of feel.
Yeah.
But you've been busy. Is what I'm
This
saying.
Saturday night show with Howard Cosell is amazing. You're going to love it.
Now we're here with RJ City.
The 70s had, I would say, I would like to track the history of why sports anchors were so ugly. They were so ugly. And I want to know at what point did they go, all right, let's get the attractive people.
What was it, the ugliness?
John
so much
Madden, even Terry Bradshaw, like the most ridiculous looking people.
Okay,
Jimmy
but
the Greek.
at least Terry didn't go for the wig. Okay, like Terry let the hairline do what the hairline was doing.
Yes.
Everybody else went for the toupee.
He cleaned up the baldness. I feel like he shaved it a little more to look more bold. That's how bald he was.
That might be the case. But really, back to you, if we can.
Frank Gifford? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm getting way off base here. What an ugly person. Sorry.
Let's throw the Canadian one in there too. Brian Williams. Not the newscaster, not the U.S. newscaster, the sports guy.
Right. Oof. Yeah. That was really rough.
You knew it was Olympic time in Canada when Brian Williams is showing up on your TV.
Yeah. Oof.
And just didn't leave that desk forever, it seemed.
Go ahead, continue. You were saying something?
No, I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to get you to talk about you, which I know you like to avoid. So
yeah. Well, I don't think there's that much to say, but ask the question, please.
Well, no, I just want to know if you're planning on reaching out to do more things outside of AEW, and if so, what do you got your eyes on?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. I do. I have, and I always continue to, and there have been things in development for, and I also hate talking about those things because more often than not, they just never happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Then you're like, why did I talk about that? Like, I work with David Arquette a lot. Unfortunately, I help with a lot of Bozo the Clown business. He owns Bozo the Clown. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I think I'd heard that, but I don't remember it. Yeah.
Yes, he's doing the Lord's work, trying to redeem the name of clowns. And then there was some animated stuff we were messing around with, and I'm always very like working on a couple shows or ideas or whatever at the same time. That's I would say another great thing about AEW is that pretty much everyone has the freedom to do other projects.
You did this thing a little while ago, talking about the animated thing.
Yes.
Where you finally revealed the true story on how you convinced Andre the Giant to lean on his size more. And I remember watching this going, this is tremendous and also a little bizarre at the same time.
So those are old. Those are called Great Moments in Wrestling. There's 3 of them. One on Andre, one on pre-pandemic, at least.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
One on Andre the Giant, one on Hulk Hogan, and and one on DX. They were promos I did, and then this wonderful animation company called Crooked City came to me and said, I think we can actually animate these. And I was like, sounds good to me. So I worked on a couple projects with them too, developmental type things.
Okay.
And they're lovely. They're on my YouTube. They're on my social media, and they're all equally bad.
They're on par. We'll put it that way. I enjoy them.
Yes. But even things like the Meal and a Match stuff I did with Renee are technically outside AEW. Those are TBS things. and those are fun to do. And I've talked about doing a lot more with Renee, and if anyone wants to throw us more money, that's possible.
You guys really have the perfect chemistry, and I love seeing a couple of Canadian kids doing everything they can to make it in that crazy world. But
isn't that nice? The Canadian Regis and Kathy Lee.
Dude, I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
I know.
That's got to be.
John Moxley does give me those Frank Gifford vibes.
I'm almost afraid to ask which vibes. All right. All right. Well, last time we did this, you came on and we pulled out Dan the Mouth Lavransky, and you guys went on a tirade of the most random Christmas films.
We third wheeled you so hard.
That's fine. That's fine. I just sat here and loved it and watched it. Unfortunately, I don't have Dan with me today, but I did want to ask you if you could recommend another bizarre Christmas classic, because I went and I watched both those films.
Do you remember which ones they are? Because I want to remember what I said.
Oh, the one was about the, was it the nuclear war or something?
Yes, Carol for Another Christmas.
Carol for Another
Sterling.
Christmas, yes.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember what the other one, it's just so weird. But the Carol for Another Christmas is the one that really stood out in my head because it was so bizarre.
Did I talk about Paul Lynde or no?
Maybe. I think you did.
Because if I haven't, I will recommend this one because it's bad.
Okay.
So the way I understand it is Paul Lynde with, I think, ABC had a couple of failed sitcoms, but he was still under contract and he owed them a certain amount of programming. So they decided to do specials. And the first one was the now famous Paul Lynde Halloween special. And he hated it because he always resented his comedic role. He's a guy who went to school with Woody Allen and, wanted to be more serious and a filmmaker and an actor and respected, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so the next special he did was 'Twas the Night Before Christmas special. I think it's called the Paul Lynde Christmas special. I'm not sure, but he plays the lead and they do a retelling of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And it's like him, Ann Mira, Alice Ghostly, George Gobel, but he's being a serious actor in it. And it's so bad that nobody talks about it. And that was really the end of him trying to be serious.
I've got it right here. Paul Lynde Christmas special. It was the night before Christmas. You can find this entire thing on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's not asking to be watched, but
no. The other one I will recommend, and I recommend it you got to see it this way, is the Rich Little Christmas Carol, where he plays every character as an impression. So I think W.C. Fields is Scrooge, but it's him playing W.C. Fields playing Scrooge. And I think Richard Nixon is Jacob Marley. Am I crazy? Is this correct?
No, you're right. I've just got it up here right now. So he's got W.C. Fields as Ebenezer Scrooge, Paul Lynde as Bob Cratchit, Johnny Carson as Fred, Laurel and Hardy as the two solicitors, Richard Nixon as Jacob Marley. You got that one.
Right. Oh, my God.
Humphrey Bogart as the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah, just like we always wanted.
Groucho Marx as Fezziwig. James Stewart as Dick Wilkins. These are all the classic Rich Little things. I remember having do you remember Radio Shack used to put out tapes of answering machine messages you could leave on your machine?
Yes.
My cousin had those, and I remember listening to the Rich Little one like it was like the hottest album of the day because I loved Impressionists. But
I had first of all, let me say, Rich Little was never the guy who did the best impressions. He just did them first.
Yes.
I had a Billy Crystal album. I can't remember the name of it now. Might be called You Look Marvelous, but he did a bunch of novelty songs. And so I'm talking about this for two reasons. One, he does a version of the Christmas song sung as all his impressions. He did, obviously, Sammy Davis Jr., Howard Cosell, Muhammad Ali, a bunch of other ones. All his, classic characters. And then at the end of the tape, he did an answering machine message for you to put on your answering machine. And I did use that as a child for quite some time.
That's tremendous. Yeah, marvelous.
So imagine being you know, an 11-year-old friend of mine and calling the house to see if I wanted to come out and play and having to listen to Billy Crystal.
Marvelous was the name of the album. It doesn't list which voices were which, but
yeah.
All right. Well, see, I love talking to you because I learned so many random. You're like Dennis Miller, but actually you talk about entertaining things. If that's a compliment.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, well, it's meant to be because Miller would always pull out the most random references to things, but these are things that I've actually heard of. So
yes, hopefully my brain won't break as I get older. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, you know what, man? I always appreciate you spending time with us over the holidays here. But one thing you took me to task for last time was freewheeling it a little too much.
Yeah.
I always like to think I'm somewhat prepared for you, but then we always go in a different direction. But since it worked so well last time, I thought, what do you say, just for old time's sakes, we go back to one more edition of RJ Interview.
Yes, I'll take it. That's fine. You know, this is now a nostalgia act, but okay, that's fine.
That's exactly it. And the problem is that I'm sure you went through this with a lot of your guests. I burned through a lot of the good questions the first time we did this.
Right.
So now
I've done that all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, where can we go with these? I think I've got something set up.
Great.
RJ City, are you ready?
I am.
All right. Oh, by the way, is Hey now back open to the ethos, or is that still yours?
No, that's mine. You can't say hey. I'm retiring hey. Let's all stop saying hey.
All
let's
right,
go back to good morning. And let's put the God back in God bless you.
Any other social causes you want to start while you're here?
Can't say Christmas. Can't say God bless you. If I sneeze in December, nobody says anything anymore.
It's like, oh, all right. RJ City, congratulations on wrapping up AEW. Most people give up on creating any sort of web content after 100 episodes. What took so long to end AEW?
We had tried to end it multiple times. I thought once we hit Jerry Lynn, we were getting to the end. And that was like episode 60. It would always be like, I think it's time to wrap it up. And then Tony Khan would hire more people. And then you look around and like 10 weeks have gone by. You're like, we're still doing this? So yeah, what did take so long? The influx of talent and the willingness to get people to do the show, unfortunately.
Was that really a struggle? Were there people that were like, I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's people who are hard to nail down schedule-wise. We're obviously taping on off hours. And there are people who are not always there and available. And I'm sure there are people who just flat out did not want to do the show. I'm sure some of them did not want to do it and still did it. But, yeah, nor did I want to pressure people.
For a while there, I mean, you were on a hot streak. It seemed like part of the hiring package was, okay, here's your contract, here's your AEW t-shirt, here's your slide, and here's your time slot with RJ.
Wouldn't that be good? Sorry for researching your life and career for 10 minutes. I apologize. Yeah, it always, and then people would be like, hey, I would like to do the show. And they wouldn't be signed. And I'm like, well, how does this work?
Yeah. Is there one that got away?
Oh, my God. There's so many that got away.
Can you name probably the biggest one?
Off the top, biggest in terms of someone I really, really did want to talk to would be Christian.
And he didn't do it.
No. I mean, he's also not really around, and then he's also mean. So I had nothing working in my favor.
Okay, totally random question here, but it's a topic that came up on my morning show, so I thought I'd ask you. Candy canes, yay or boo?
What am I doing with them?
Well, just their general existence. Are you for them? Are you against them?
Yay.
Are you eating them?
Yay. What difference does it make? They're around for 1 month. Why is that a bother to anyone?
Well, I find them kind of impractical, to be honest with you.
They are. I'm the same way candy corn is impractical.
Yeah, but at least candy corn doesn't come in a weird. Well, I guess it does kind of come in a weird shape.
It does. Candy corn is the candy cane of October.
But you don't got to hold on to the candy corn. It doesn't get all sticky in your hand. You don't get it all over your face like you do with a candy cane.
No, but you gotta put the whole thing in your mouth. You gotta commit to it more. You can't make a candy cane last. I think that's the failing. This sucking business, it's disgusting. And then it turns into a little knife.
Yeah.
That's insane.
You're the second person today to bring up the fact you can make a shank out of a candy cane.
Yes, it's a good MacGyver episode. I would say they're certainly better than those awful chocolate oranges you have to smash on the table to open, or a panettone. I find panettones repulsive.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all hot and shooty on you, but
hey, man, they're going to clip this, and this is going to this is your viral moment here.
The panettone community, grande cheese, is going to be very angry at me.
During the Darby Allin episode of AEW, was the kick to the balls on target, or was it like the one Steve Austin gave to Bret Hart?
So that was Darby Allin's brother, who was holding a light, who was so nice. All the Allins are legitimately crazy in the same way. He's got, I think, multiple brothers, and they're all very, this is a deep cut, Igby goes down. They all have like that vibe about them. These like struggling youth trying to make it in the world, and they just enjoy chaos. And that man hit me square in the balls. Wow. That is, I can't think of too much that I have faked or had to fake for bits on Hay. That was certainly one I did not have to embellish at all.
Who is it easier to hold conversation with, Caminito and Camelito or the Rock and Roll Express?
Oh my God. Well, I would say Caminito and Camelito, I held the conversation. With the Rock and Roll Express, the conversation got away from me.
That's fair.
And I do also, I will say this, Rock and Roll Express is maybe my favorite episode. And certainly one when I was doing it that I went, this will be good. I've never done that with any other episode. It's usually, this is awful. I hope we can edit this into something. But after that, and it means it's so crazy. After, they didn't know they were getting into either, but afterwards, Ricky hugged me and kissed me on the cheek and said, never be afraid to be who you are. What that means, what he thought I was doing, I don't know. But, I mean, he's just a joy. And every time I've seen either of them since, it's been a joy.
At this moment, can you give a plug to Tony Shalhoub's Breaking Bread?
You know what I like to have for Christmas? Bread. And you know who knows where to get the best bread all over the world?
Who?
Tony Shalhoub.
Wow.
Like in his CNN original series, Tony Shalhoub Breaking Bread. Available now on CNN+.
That's what I wanted right there. Because you do a liner enough times, it just gets stuck in your brain for the rest of your life.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I mean, and think about how insane that is. And I don't think people understand. I didn't explain the logistics of it. This is me being too deep in a bit to think everyone's going to understand what the deal is. But CNN was like, yeah, let's do a thing, which is like the coolest thing in the world to me. Anything Tony Shalhoub affiliated for this, there's no reason. I don't know why they agreed to it, but they're like, yeah, sure. And so, to have them in the episode, like all those clips are official. I don't think people realize on the internet, because you could, and the average YouTuber could just pull clips from wherever. But when you're a company like AEW, you need to get permission and clearance and official versions and all this. And there's a tremendous amount of work that went into that and permissions that had to be granted that blew my mind. So to do that, and then we did a couple episodes of Break of the Week, where I just plugged where he would be every week. And that was like, but then I'm doing it on the show, and everyone watching thinks it's just a bit. They don't even realize that Tony Shalhoub has a show about bread. And all the comments are, I didn't realize, I can't believe this is a real show. I just looked it up. This is amazing. It was only me in the middle of that Venn diagram of AEW and Tony Shalhoub.
Well, I hope you don't mind that we gleaned off of your fame for that Venn diagram. But two last questions for you here. We know there's a rather famous retirement that's gone on this year in the world of pro wrestling.
Yes.
The question is, are you vying to be Jeff Jarrett's final opponent?
I would absolutely. I would be very, very tempted to. At this point, because of the last, I think I'm going to say my last match was against Renee.
She got it in good, too. She was laying that stuff in.
That was not fake. that was someone who's clearly married to John Moxley.
I was waiting for the skewers to come out.
Go watch that back.
Oh, I did. And trust me, it was good.
That was one. There was no second take. I think we got it. No, I will say, Jeff Jarrett, I cannot see ever retiring.
There was rumors it was going to happen, but
yeah, I just can't see it. He looks too good now.
That's true.
He comes on the 0 hours flexing.
Yeah.
He wears those tight My World polos.
All right, last question for RJ City. Thank you again for being a part of the Holiday Hullabaloo.
Yes.
RJ, I wanted to hit you with some Christmas film trivia. It's only one question. It's on what's probably a far more popular movie than what you're used to answering questions about.
Then I might not know it.
But I want you to think of a holiday movie where the star agreed to do it simply so his daughter could, quote, watch a movie where he wasn't brutally hurting someone. Who is that actor? What is that movie?
Wow. Is it?
So think about movie villains, especially from the 70s and 80s, who would go on to still see fame today, as a matter of fact.
Am I wrong? Is it a version of A Christmas Carol?
You're right.
Is it George C. Scott?
Nope. But you know what? You're so close. I want to give you another guess here. So think of versions of A Christmas Carol out there. Movie villains. Been in the game a long time.
Well, the only one I go to is Michael Caine.
It's Michael Caine.
When was he beating people up?
I don't know. He said he didn't want to be in movies where he wasn't brutally hurting anyone anymore.
Oh, I guess emotionally. Like I'm thinking like Alfie. Or like when he did Noises Off. I'm like, why didn't...
Well, that's his quote, not mine. So,
boy. I mean, that he said, I'm going to treat these Muppets like real people.
And that's how it is. RJ, appreciate you as always, man. All the best in this year. And again, as just someone who watches from the outside, I love the stuff you do. And even if it's the stuff I think you're doing, I don't know. I see your fingerprints or your influence in a lot of things, and it's fun to watch. So thank you as always.
Well, thank you. And one day, Ben, I will say this, any Ben Mankiewicz involvement in AEW, and I will give credit to him. That's the only thing I'm taking credit for.
The Holiday Hullabaloo.
Well, it's a bit of a reunited and it feels so good moment. Once upon a time, these two would give you weekly reviews of All Elite Wrestling, AEW Dynamite specifically. They went by a moniker that we can't use on the radio. But it was the opposite of Young Bucks, and it rhymed with Bucks. Put it that way. Dan the Mouth Lavransky and Joe Aguinaldo. Happy holidays, fellas.
Happy holiday, man.
Yeah, same to you. Great little reunion going on here. Joe, how have you been?
Dude, it's been busy, as always. You know,
of course.
You know.
I know the drill. I do.
For those that don't know, Dan and Joe used to work together for how many years, guys? Like a long time, right?
It was. Yeah.
Actually, it would have been close to 8 or 9 years. And okay, wait, no. First,
there's the whole other chunk too, when we were up in the old location and that, right?
So first tour of duty was about 4 years, and then it was another like 9-ish years.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you guys started doing the AEW show, Joe, were you doing any other podcasting before that, or how did this all come to fruition of you guys talking about wrestling on microphones?
So the long and short is, because of Dan's shift, he would have lunch at about the time that I was coming into the office, which was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And because I'd known Dan, and like we've known each other forever, and obviously Dan knew I was a wrestling fan, and I knew who Dan Lavransky was, so I would just sit down and we would just start talking about wrestling. In fact, I might argue, and I think Dan might agree, that some of our best podcasts were off mic, right? So yeah, we would talk about wrestling. And at the time, like AEW was just about to start coming out, so Dan had the idea of wanting to do an AEW podcast, and he ran it by the powers that be, and that's kind of how we started podcasting.
It totally was that simple. I was excited about the fact that there was going to be a new company challenging the WWE, and I also knew that Joe was a real diehard fan that knows the history and stuff. And I thought it would be great to have the two of us give our thoughts. How is this going to play out? You know, with us kind of with our experience and with this new promotion going against the WWE. That was the other thing as well. I was just kind of hyped that this is something new and exciting. We need to talk about it, you know?
Well, and wouldn't you know, and this is just a joke, guys, but wouldn't you know, 6 years later, neither one of you are talking about AEW regularly.
Yeah.
But that's not a knock.
That is a joke, and I will supply a rim shot.
Oh, thank you. I didn't expect you to play today. Is this going to cost me extra now, Dan?
No, you're good.
I have to tell you this too, Dan. I was just going through some things because, you know, I moved a lot for a while there. And what would just resurface once again but my signed copy of the Bruiser Brody CD with you in your short trunk tights.
Yeah.
Crazy beard going on. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you know, anybody out there wants one? I still got a few of them hanging around in my basement. So,
you know,
I'll
don't
sign
tempt me
them for
because
you.
I have an idea. Okay. And it might involve you, those CDs, and maybe making a promotional poster out of the cover of that album because I have an idea. But we'll talk about that in the new year.
Sounds good. Good.
I thought I'd have you on because it's funny. Joe, you appear on the show all the time, just usually helping me out with Yay Boos, and you're still watching wrestling. And at the same time, it's, I feel, a different environment than how you and I first met because we don't have to watch any of this stuff now. We just kind of watch it because we like talking about it. Whereas, Dan, you've kind of fallen off a bit in the wrestling world, and at the same time, it's funny, anytime I text you, you're always telling me, yeah, I'm just watching the pre-show to this, or I'm just watching this. So,
you know, exactly, you've caught me those couple of times when I have. Ever since that last time, I guess I need you to message me to motivate me. But the last time, I haven't watched it since that last time. Yeah, I haven't checked it out.
Wrestling, to me, I feel, is something that you can walk away from, and if you want to, you can walk back in. So I never rule out anybody's fandom, and if you decide to walk away for good, that's fine too, you know? I mean, but you've come on the show a few times in the last year, especially to help me go through some big anniversaries of events, for example. We talked about the big event, and also to help me talk about some people we lost or passed away or some wrestling music. And so I always appreciate you coming on either way. But today, fellas, since this is the holiday hullabaloo, I wanted to add some different elements to this. First thing, I do want to do some more reminiscing between you two and maybe favorite or least favorite moments of doing shows together. And then secondly, I have formulated a mini quiz based on some classic NWA era wrestling, which both of you will regale me. Both of you regale me with stories of whether I asked for them or not.
Whoa, okay. All right.
We'll see how we do here. But first of all, I want to take you back to doing those shows together. I mean, Dan, you talked about the excitement when AEW came in. And again, we're not talking about this as a post-mortem on AEW either. This is just your time.
It's just
covering the show. Do you remember what stood out to you the most when you started doing these shows and what you felt really excited for?
For me, it was just the mix of the talent, like the talent that we knew that was available at the time and the talent that they were going to bring in, especially like the Japanese guys. And I know this is the same for Joe because him and I have always been huge fans of the Japanese wrestling. And all of a sudden, here's a chance for you to see all of these guys on a weekly television show. They would get those guys, but then they would also get the cream of the indie guys at the time as well that were talented and could move up to the next level. So I really liked the kind of the whole hybrid of what it was and how it radically different it was from WWE, right down to the way it was shot and everything, right? The whole presentation.
I agree with Dan, and I think it was just because it was something different than WWE. Because you got to remember, at that time, WWE had the monopoly, right? Sure, there was TNA, sure, there was New Japan, but like this was the first, let's call it, real competition that the WWE had for a while. And yes, to Dan's point, there was some really good mixtures of both the indie and sort of your veteran talent, i.e. your Chris Jericho's, your Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. But even back then, like guys like Joey Janela, who was pretty big in the indies at the time, right? So it was definitely an exciting sort of period. And just to add to the reason why we also got into the podcast, the concept was you had two older wrestling fans talking about the new kid on the block. And the idea was to try to bring sort of our sensibility to talking about the new product.
A lot of this was centered around Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny, right? Like, that's what the initial AEW focus was really on. What for you was the defining talent, I think, of that initial era? What really drew you in and said, you know what, those are the guys, or that's the guy, or that's the girl?
Well, again, for me, it was the Bucks and it was Kenny Omega and just these guys that, you know, I had seen so much stuff on tape and I'd heard so much about them. And finally, they were going to get the big exposure and that more wrestling fans were going to see what these guys were all about. For me, it wasn't, the Cody thing was not a big part of it really for me. And especially the way the whole thing played out and his kind of AEW period was somewhat lackluster at best. I mean, and I wasn't really surprised when he left, and I don't know the inside story because they won't talk about it and all that, and whether it was mismanagement of him as a character or whatever. He never seemed to be as much a part of what was bringing me in. That's for sure. It was more the Bucks and Kenny Omega and the talent from Japan. The fact that I was going to see Tomohiro Ishii on North American Pro Wrestling, that was what I was excited about.
Took a little longer, I think, than we expected for that to happen.
Well, it did, though. It did.
It did. Boy, did it.
On top of what Dan said with the Bucks and Kenny, because they did feel like the main guys, even though Cody was one of the founders, I have to say Jericho. Cody and the Bucks are great, but Jericho was an established star. And I remember when they had the press conference and he came out, I was like, now we know that these guys are serious. And then I might say a little later, especially after Double or Nothing, I think it was, when Moxley came out, I kind of thought, okay, Moxley really wants to make a difference in professional wrestling. So he was another guy that I kind of looked at the beginning.
Well, that's interesting. Fellas, from what you know of the AEW roster now, we do a thing on the show called Yay Boo. I want to go through the current champions as of production day here, and I want to get your yay or a boo. And you're not allowed to explain either.
Oh, okay. So that makes, actually, for me, that'll make it a lot easier.
This is where we polarize the audience immediately.
Yeah, really.
I don't even know where we start. And this is just AEW champions, okay? I'm not including Ring of Honor champions. I'm not including any of the other, across the world.
Because haven't they added another belt?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes. They just had the women's tag team championships get added, plus the national champion.
Yeah, that's it, the national.
That's right.
So, well, you know what? Let's start there then. The Babes of Wrath in Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. Now, Dan, have you gotten to see much of Harley Cameron at all?
Oh, yeah. No. When she first came in, for sure, but not recently. I didn't even know the two of them were a tag team.
Okay.
I don't know. To me, that makes sense as a mid-card tag team, you know, for the women's titles. I could see the two of them working well together.
Not allowed to explain it. Yay or boo.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Not allowed to cuss. We're on the radio.
That's what beeps are for.
I know. Trust me. I know. I've been editing all these. So yay or boo on the Babes of Wrath?
I would say yay then for me.
All right. That sounded like a yay to me. Joe, Babes of Wrath, yay or boo?
Oh, I got to go yay. Harley Cameron's in it. So
okay. Again, not allowed to explain yourself.
Oh, okay. So yay.
Yep. Ricochet as the AEW National Champion, Joe.
Yay.
Dan?
Yay.
All right. 2 for 2. The Ops, which are Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and who the hell is that? Oh, Shibata. Okay, so the Ops of Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata as the AEW Trios Champions. Yay or boo, Dan?
Yay.
That seemed like a reluctant yay, but again, not allowed to explain yourself. Joe?
Yay.
Okay. All right. We move to the TNT champion, Mark Briscoe. Joe, yay or boo?
Yay.
Dan?
Yeah, same. Yay.
Yeah, you know what? You don't have to explain that one because Mark Briscoe is fantastic. Once again, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, FTR. Dan?
Yay. Yay. That's just, I'm trying.
Hard.
I know it is. It super is. It is. Nope.
Joe, yay or boo on FTR as World Tag Team Champions?
A resounding yay.
Okay. Kazuchika Okada as the Continental Champion. Joe?
I'm giving that a yay, too.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, me too.
You sounded happy to hear he's got a belt. He's got two, technically. TBS champion and current belt collector, Mercedes Moné. Dan?
Nay.
So that's a boo?
Yeah, it's a boo. It's a big boo.
Okay. First boo of the game. Joe?
I'm going to give this a reluctant boo.
I almost want you guys to explain it, but you're not allowed. Okada with another title as the AEW Unified Champion. So he's technically got 3 belts.
What's the unified one?
It's the Continental and the International slammed together.
Oh, okay.
So what they did, because we've already said Okada is the Continental and International Champion, he's also got the Unified Championship. So I guess is that what the belt is? I don't even see. This is how confusing this is to me.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Does he have 2 titles, or is it 2 titles as 1 title?
That's just it. I think it's 3 titles as 1 title, but without the other 2, it's still 1 title.
Okay, well, I mean it's Okada, so I'm giving him a yay, despite whatever. But it seems confusing.
Joe.
I'm going to give it a yay. To me, this is like the triple crown, and that's the way I'm looking at it. So,
AEW Women's World Champion Chris Statlander. Joe, we start with you.
Oh, that's a big yay for me. I love Chris Statlander.
Dan?
It's a nay for me.
A boo?
Yeah, it's a boo for me.
Oh, I almost want you to explain that one too, but you're not allowed.
Tough luck, buddy.
Finally, Samoa Joe as the AEW World Champion. Dan the Mouth Lavransky, yay or boo?
Because that just recently happened, didn't it?
The second time,
winning the title the second time, right?
Yep.
Exactly. I'm going to go yay at this point.
Joe?
Yeah, I give that a yay as well.
I know the explanation for that one, just because he's a fellow Joe. You guys have to stick together. Well, guys, this has been fun. We're going to play one more game, though, and this is something for those of you listening wherever you are. If you want to try and answer the questions in your head, we're going to play some classic NWA trivia. First person to 3 correct answers is going to win the fictitious but prestigious
a no prize
Holiday Hullabaloo Championship.
I like that, Dan.
The no prize championship. That's a new belt coming to AEW.
Exactly.
I'm going to give Dan the first shot.
Dan, do you accept the first shot?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Going back to Ric Flair feuding with Blackjack Mulligan. At one point, Rick destroyed one of Blackjack Mulligan's cowboy hats at ringside during a match. How did Blackjack retaliate to this?
Oh, wow.
That's hardcore, dude.
It is because that's early in Flair's career.
It sure is.
That's really early. Yeah. He grabbed him and tore up his suit. I don't honestly. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah,
you were close. He destroyed one of Flair's robes.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, but not close enough, unfortunately.
No, that's digging. I know that's really early in Flair's career. The feud with him. With Blackjack.
Sticking with Flair, this is a little more widely known event, Joe, but the answer might not be as easy to come by. Other than Ric Flair, who were the other people on the infamous 1975 flight which crashed and Flair broke his back?
Bob Bruggers, Johnny Valentine, Tim Wooden, and I forgot the pilot's name. That's the best I can give you.
Wasn't one of the Crockett's was on it, wasn't it?
Because Tim and Johnny Valentine were traveling, that was massive kayfabe problem.
So Tim Woods, better known as Mr. Wrestling 1.
Mr. Wrestling, yeah. I can't think of that last name, dude.
That's all right. Dan was right. It was David Crockett.
Oh, nicely
That's what I
done.
thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
All right, so we're still scoreless here. Still sticking with Ric Flair trivia. When Ricky Steamboat faced Flair in 1978, Dan, Rick injured Steamboat and dragged his face on the concrete floor. This put Steamboat out of action. When he came back, what was the first thing he did to retaliate with Flair?
That was the one where he tore the suit off him.
That is 1 point, Dan Lavransky.
Yeah, that was such a great angle. The Steamboat came out and just tore the, like, I mean, I don't know if they rigged the suit to come apart easily or what, but he just came out and tore it right down to Flair's underwear. It was like hilarious.
And that was where when they rubbed his face in the concrete.
Yeah.
They ended up like taking him into the back room, and Harley Race took sandpaper.
That's
to his
right.
face.
That's right, to make it look
to make it look real,
nasty. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Joe, who is considered the first NWA champion?
Oh, hang on. It is I want to say Orville. No, shoot. Is it Orville Burke? The thing is, I know who was second because Lou Thez took the belt off him, but I can't remember his name. But
if we had half points, I'd give it to you, but it was Orville Brown.
Thank you. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Dan, how many times did Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard win the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament together?
Oh, wow. Did they? Is this a trick question? Did they ever win it? Oh, I don't think they ever did. I don't remember them ever. 2 points
for Dan Lavransky.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever winning. I didn't think so.
It was a trick question. Done. Joe, why was Ric Flair stripped of the NWA Championship?
Which time?
Why was he?
Actually, you know what? I looked it up. This is the only one I could find.
Oh, okay.
You know what? I know it happened. I don't know why.
Because he took the belt to the WWF.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
91.
Yeah.
That was also kind of a trick question. Okay, Dan, for all the marbles, which 2 real-life brothers have both been NWA TV title champions?
Brothers? I would say the Briscoes. Like Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Nope. So
no, it's not the Briscoes.
They were individual champions for the NWA TV title. Joe, I'm going to give you a chance to steal this one.
Oh, dude, it was the Steiners.
You knew that?
Yeah.
It's the Steiner brothers. Rick and Steiner.
Very good.
Come on, I know some stuff here. Dan's not the only expert. Give me a break.
I was totally off on that one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just going by the records here, guys.
Yeah, you're making me sound like I don't know anything.
No, you know some things, Joe. And people like you.
Yeah. He knows how to get your Wi-Fi back online.
I don't know if Dan remembers this, but there was one time we did a podcast where he forgot his notes on his computer at work.
Yes,
I remember listening to this one.
Yeah, so we spent the first 20 minutes of the podcast trying to break into his computer.
It was great. Yeah, Joe was like total secret agent, man. He got right in there and busted in. Oh, here, within 10 minutes, he's emailing me my notes. Like, no problem. That was amazing.
Joe, to tie things up, Starrcade 85. What object did Magnum TA use on Tully Blanchard to make him submit?
Oh,
it was a piece of a wooden chair.
We are tied up at 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
We are tied up, so I'm going to throw the question to both of you.
Ooh.
First person to shout out. Yeah, you guys got to have a unique buzzer. So we just heard Dan's. Joe, what's your unique buzzer sound going to be that can't sound like Dan's?
Ding, 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 ding.
I love it. Yeah.
I love how stupid this is. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, gentlemen. For the tie to be broken and the win, who were crowned as the first ever NWA United States Tag Team Champions?
United States Tag Titles. Yeah, you're digging into the diversity of belts.
Big time.
Power and Glory. I have no idea. Oh, sorry. Power and Glory. I have no idea. I don't know.
No, Joe, your chance to win.
I'm stumped.
The Fantastics.
Ivan Koloff and Crusher
Fantastic.
Khrushchev.
Oh, Barry Darso and Ivan Koloff.
Congratulations to Barry Darso for releasing his new autobiography that came out earlier this year.
Have you read it?
No, not yet. In 1987, the NWA ran 2 shows for the Great American Bash. At one of those 2 shows, Lex Luger beat Nikita Koloff to win the U.S. heavyweight title. At the other Great American Bash, what was the only title to change hands?
Oh. What year did you say? 87?
87. And I'm going to give you 2 names here. The match was between Steve Williams and Big Bubba Rogers.
Steve Williams and Big Bubba Rogers? I'm going to say U.S. title.
Joe, your chance to steal.
I guess that's not it.
As dumb as this sounds, I'm going to say like the Western Heritage title or something like that.
You were actually probably closer with that than Dan was.
No way. What was it?
The UWF title.
Oh, UWF. Okay,
that was the other one I was thinking of, but I thought it was
UWF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Points to you for bringing up the Western Heritage Championship, though. That's a deep
for sure.
What is the exact name Lance Storm changed the U.S. title to when he won it in WCW? So this is technically the NWA U.S. title, but it's WCW.
I'm
gonna just guess. I'm gonna just the Alberta World Title. I remember it was something ridiculous, but I can't remember exactly.
It's not the Alberta World Title.
Okay,
Although
I know
there are some people in this province that might wish.
Would
for
love
that.
that. Yes, I know exactly.
Joe,
didn't he just call it like the Canada title or something like that?
It was something really ridiculous and silly. I remember, but I can't remember.
You were close, Joe. It was the Canadian Heavyweight Championship because it was the United States Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, see, we could have went for the obvious, but no, we were trying.
What you guys are thinking of is the hardcore title when he changed it to the Saskatchewan Hardcore International title.
Okay, right,
yeah. That's the dumb one you're thinking of. Because trust me, you know, there's actually bootleggers that are making actual versions of those belts.
The hardcore Saskatchewan title.
Yeah. Like when Lance had them, they were just stickers. But there's people that are making like metal versions of those belts now.
Well, because there's always someone that will put it on their shoulder.
All right, gentlemen. Wahoo McDaniel held the NWA United States Championship how many times?
Oh, that's a good one. Wahoo.
What? We're going to go to the closest number here.
Okay, I'm going to say 3 times.
Dan says 3. Joe, what do you say?
Which title was it?
The NWA U.S. Championship.
U.S. Okay. All right, I'm going to say 4 just to be different.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the reuniting of the Old Bleep podcast pointless trivia contest.
Yes, good
prizeless
title, no
trivia
prize.
contest.
Yeah,
for the no prize title, Wahoo McDaniel held the United States Championship 5 times. Joe Aguinaldo.
There you go, Joe. All right, there you go.
Come from behind victory, and the best part is the way this was edited, you couldn't tell this took a half an hour.
No. Thank God for editing, ladies and gentlemen. You people have been spared an ordeal. Let's leave it at that. Congratulations, Joe. Excellent.
Thank you. I feel honored. I'd like to thank the Academy and my parents.
You have passed the audition. Congratulations.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for this. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to both of you. Dan, the beer advent calendar, did that happen again this year?
No. Because we've been moving into our new place this whole month, and all of that kind of stuff has been there just hasn't been time for that. We're in the final stages, though. We're pretty well in the house, and we just got to get the other one cleaned out and we'll be good. So no beer advent calendar.
Okay.
It was it got trashed. I think it fell apart. So.
Well, I did ask you your address for a reason last week, so expect a surprise in the mail here sometime in the future, okay?
Sounds good.
Well, there you have it. Dan the Mouth Lebransky, Joe Aguinaldo, all the best to you and the family as well, my friend. Hopefully we get to hang out like this in person sometime down the road. But in the meantime, you two got to get hanging out together again. So
it's true. We should.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Merry Christmas, fellas.
All right. See you, brother.
Friends, breaking news from the baggage claim department of the Calgary International Airport. We have made it. We got our bags, and now we are going to go catch our park and ride bus here. It's a very busy airport. I've picked up many a wrestler and
been picked up here for shows in the past. But I'll tell you right now, there's nothing better than getting to your car and starting the journey home. And we're pulling up to our stall now to meet our bus. And the hell? Customer pickup bay. Push the button to confirm you're ready for pickup. It's -20. All right. Well, I guess we get to wait some more.
The Holiday Hullabaloo.
He might not believe this, but I would if I were him. One of the most requested guests. Seriously, I know you're already wincing at that thought, but truly, one of the most requested guests I've ever had. And I don't know if it's because we have some mutual friends, but I can say that I joined that group of people that have wanted to chat with you for a long time in a professional sense. John Pollock from Post Wrestling. How are you, sir?
I am doing great, Mike. It must be a dry spell if I am the most requested guest, but I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to chat with you.
That dry humility is one of your calling cards, has been for the years, man. In all seriousness, though, thank you for making time for us here. And I wanted to start this off, and I'm sure you do too, because every time I listen to you, I always think, do you have an eidetic memory? Like, are you pretty close to photographic memory?
I mean, I don't have photographic memory. I definitely have some kind of gift that has somehow aided me in my career, that I have a very good recollection of series of events. I'm very good with dates. Which is funny. I'm terrible with names. I'm very bad in that sense. So in social situations, it's not as much of a gift. But when it comes to recall and at least chronology of events, that is something that it's just some kind of cheat code that I was somehow acquired over all of these years that can make conversations about history a bit easier when it comes to putting everything into some succinct order.
And you do such a great job. The reason why I bring it up is that I don't have that gift or that skill, but I always tend to remember things, especially over my career and just over my life, and things where it's like, probably could have been a little better than I was there in that situation. So I don't know if you remember this. I highly doubt it, but this is one of those things that just weighs in the back of my mind. I'm at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology in Edmonton. The year is like 2001, 2002, maybe. Okay. Somewhere around there. And I'm listening to live audio wrestling, and I'm listening to John and Way, and I'm listening to the old show and everything. And I'm also in radio school, which anybody that went to radio school or broadcasting school of any kind, I think we all go through that phase of, well, clearly I know what I'm doing better than anybody else out there. And you get that false sense of confidence. I remember sending an email once. I said, I listen to you guys all the time, but dear God, you guys could use some more energy. And I was emailing specifically you and Way, and I seem to recall a comment coming up on a show later on, kind of making fun of that, and being someone who I am now, who gets those messages all the time, or gets, you get hated on for playing the wrong song. I would like to start our official conversation, John, with, if there's any memory of that at all between you and Way, with a sincere apology from a cocky radio student some 20-something years ago.
Well, I think it would make a fascinating conversation if I could tell you I've been holding this grudge for 2 decades.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Unfortunately, I do not have a recollection of this particular critique, although it's one I would say I got less of, but that was certainly one about Way that. And listen, everyone has their own opinions. To me, one of the lessons I always got was that there is no such thing as a quote unquote radio voice. It is like, you would never want everyone to sound the same.
Right.
And whether I have a hard time listening to myself. I'm sure many people hate listening to themselves. I think Way hates listening to himself. I always found, like, if you listen to Way of 20 years ago versus today, I think it's night and day. But I mean, that's just him. And I would not want any kind of like subdued version of him. And I also myself, like, I think, everyone's going to have critiques, and I think everyone is warranted to have their opinions. Like this is a very like personal medium when you're putting people in your ears, and it's going to have that kind of reaction from people, good, bad, or indifferent. And hopefully over time you see evolution in people as well.
Well, I wanted to follow it up with that too. And first of all, thank God you don't remember that, because it's only been eating at me for 20 something years now. And I don't know what it was like for you going through school and everything, but there's always that spell where you think, oh, I got it all figured out. And then you realize you get into any industry, no matter if it's broadcasting or engineering or anything, you probably don't actually have it all figured out, and you never really do. And I think that's most evident by the success that you guys have had with post wrestling, because let's face it, when that all went down, it was 2018 you guys launched, right?
Right at the end of 2017, basically. Yeah, 2018 was pretty much the year one.
So the whole thing happens, and I don't even want to get into it because it doesn't matter anymore. But you guys decide...
for context, we were let go from this television network in Canada called the Fight Network, which in turn owned the radio show Live Audio Wrestling. That is how Wei and I met, and then we spun off on our own after this, and that was how we launched Post Wrestling.
Again, I wasn't sure how much I wanted to go into it, but that summarized it quite nicely there. But yeah, so you guys decide, okay, we're not done. And I think that sort of entrepreneurial spirit, that kind of courage, was there ever a backup plan for this, or did this just kind of all happen in real time around you, where you're like, okay, we don't have the show, we don't have Fight anymore, but we still want to do this, and now you've turned it into such a big thing. But the initial thought process, what was it for you guys exactly?
Well, with me and Wei, the last year that we were working at the Fight Network, they had gone through a series of layoffs, and we were still there. And it became a very challenging workplace in that last year. It was just, we didn't have a whole lot of direction. We were left to ourselves. And the two of us were at that point sort of at this period anyway, where it was, is this a place worth sticking around with? So it's not as though we weren't already sort of thinking about this and even like thinking about moving on. We knew at some point, probably our numbers are going to get called up, and they happened to. The big gift to me was that I assumed that the next round of layoffs, I figured I would be part of that, but Wei just did so many other things from an editing perspective, and just there was lots of value for the business that the Fight Network was in was no longer in on air and hosting and reporting. I was very expendable. I did not see Wei as being expendable. So when he was let go with me, like that, to me, I kind of joke, that was my severance package, was getting Wei, because I don't think I could have done any of this on my own. The two of us, like, we had, brainstormed the idea of doing something on our own. So we just hit the ground running. Like, there was no long discussion about what was next. It was, let's just tackle this. Like, let's give ourselves 9 months to just dedicate all of our time to this. And after 9 months, we can decide, the audience will decide if there's room for us in this wrestling space. It's a crowded market. We are going to need subscriptions to make this a viable business. And maybe the answer is no. We did not have a backup plan beyond that. It's just, let's give ourselves till summer of 2018, and then we'll sit down and discuss. And thankfully, I want to say by February or March, we realized we basically replicated what we had before, and we can continue this full time. And, every year it's convincing our audience continue to support us. And until they don't, that's as long as we'll be able to keep doing this.
Well, again, kudos to what you guys have created. I did a survey on our Celebrate Wrestling Facebook page about a week and a half ago from when we're talking now. And I'm not saying this just to butter your bread, but I listed a few of the credible and known wrestling websites out there. And at 53% out of 7 options, Post Wrestling came up as the most trusted website that our listeners go to and check out all the time. So,
wow, that's very cool.
Kudos to you. And again, you can see these stats on our Facebook page. I'm not making stuff up here. I feel the same way I feel as a lot of either listeners to your shows do, or your subscribers, or even just your readers do, where you guys took what was something with the law and added a whole new layer of not only coverage and not only credibility, but sincerity to it. And that's what I try and do with this show. I always say to people like, oh, are you trying to be post-wrestling? I'm like, no, because they are post-wrestling and they are what they do. And I am just an idiot who has a radio show and likes talking about wrestling and likes talking about wrestlers. And I've been around wrestling as long as I've been in radio, if not longer. So that's where my sense of the business comes in from. But for you especially, John, I can't help but think of how your journalistic brain works, because you've always been a guy who has gone down the straight and narrow, and we won't get into the story if that's okay with you, but I had actually called on you about something that had happened a while ago, and it was the same process I would expect from any other news reporter, any other medium out there. You were meticulous about it, you had people on assignment with it, and you've managed to look at this silly world of pro wrestling that we love with a credibility that I don't think is really duplicated out there right now.
Well, I've always looked at pro wrestling as it's a very comical veneer that surrounds this industry that is on its core as serious as any other beat that you would be covering. Like, I imagine I would be applying this same kind of thought process if I was covering football, if I was covering, entertainment, politics. I just think like it's an industry that not only do I kind of just look towards like what is the core of this story and uncovering that, but I also think there's a lot of audience demand for that has an appetite for that as well. That this is an industry that, over its history, I think it kind of skirts by because it is professional wrestling, and we've all encountered the snickers that elicits from people when you state that you work in pro wrestling or that you watch pro wrestling. It was like, why is this any less serious than any of these other industries? And that, in my upbringing, seeing that, here we would see like wrestler deaths, and they were almost taken like these weren't even real people, and they were real people. And I just think that you can apply serious, and I don't consider us, like just, like Walter Cronkite, but I think that you can cover hard news and also present it in hopefully an entertaining, digestible way. And that's always the balance of wanting to take sometimes what are very dark stories and present them in a palatable way so that your audience does engage and understand what the story is.
And that's exactly it. I consider when I listen to you guys, you're like the news magazine show. I liken what we do here almost to like an old daytime or even late night talk show where it's like we're going to talk about it. We're not going to be as serious about it. Meltzer comes on all the time, and I let him be as serious as he wants to be about it. Talk about guys with eidetic memories almost, right? But, I try not to dive too deep into that. Well, let me ask you, as a wrestling fan, because I heard you, I think it was you and Wei talking about something a while ago. Oh, yeah, it was your 90210 fandom.
Yes.
And I had no idea, first of all, that you were such a fan, but you likened pro wrestling and 90210 fandom. And I was like, oh, yeah, this guy actually does like to be entertained. And I don't know why that switches in my brain like that. You know what I mean? But when you're going to wrestling shows, I think the last time I saw you was at one of those AEW tapings in Toronto a while back. But when you're going to wrestling shows, when you're doing things like that, are you still able to enjoy things as a fan?
Like, I enjoy wrestling when it's done well, and don't when it's done badly. When I'm going to a show, like typically it's like I'm covering it. And even if I was not covering it, like I'm not your vocal fan that's going to be leading chants or getting up on his feet. Like that's just at its core. Like I'm a very introverted person. So you would not be seeing an animated John Pollock, regardless of whether I had a press credential or not. And when I am there as press, I mean, that's pretty much like you are not there to be a fan. And that was kind of a line that I established for myself. Like when I started doing this and it was like a living for me, I was like, this is a very clear line that like, yes, I was a fan of this, but now this is my job and I do have to approach it as a job and less so as just a fan. But that doesn't mean I can't enjoy things. And in this environment, like you're always going to be providing your opinions. That's a big basis of like what we do is providing opinions. And at their core, that comes from like your likes and dislikes that anyone else is going to have. And whether they mesh with your audience or not, they are curious about my opinions as well. So though it all does come out as, you're going to know what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy from listening, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's just it. I love when because you have, again, like I said at the start, a very dry sense of humor, and sometimes you'll get lines out that either way, or sometimes with Brandon or somebody, it might just go right over them, but I'm like, I'm with you. I got that one. But just know that they are getting over with some of us out here. But
as long as there's one.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what I say every day. I turn on the microphone on the radio. I'm like, dear God, let there be one person. That's all I care about. When it comes to the wrestling world today, I mean, dear Lord, did you ever think that as a fan or as a journalist, we would have the stories we have today? I mean, we all grew up hearing some of the things that were considered urban legends, or maybe, I don't want to get into what certain legends have been saying lately, but, we always hear the rumors and the stories and things like that. But now, I mean, you've had some serious hard-hitting news stories that circle around pro wrestling, and obviously the biggest one, I would assume in the last couple of years, has to be the whole Vince McMahon fallout.
Sure.
Combined with, I know you guys really pay attention to the Saudi situation as well, and what's fallen out from a journalistic standpoint is that. But did you ever think that this would be what Post would become, and these are the stories you'd be talking about with pro wrestling?
It's a great question. Like, I'm sure many people that listen just felt that, we started this site and we had this very clear vision of what we wanted the site to represent and what it wanted to be. The answer is, it's been very organic in that sense. We didn't sit down in 2017 and state, hey, let's get into geopolitics and how it approaches pro wrestling. Like, a lot of these things, they just, like, you can't predict where the industry is going to go. And it just so happened that when we launched, it was like 2 weeks before WWE announced this deal with the then General Sports Authority of Saudi Arabia. And then you had the first show under this agreement in April of 2018. And I think a lot of people went into that first show just kind of viewing it as another international event. And then it became watching it where you saw what this show really represented. And here we are, we're using the Davaris to represent Iran. And to a North American fan, maybe they don't really understand the weight of that, but doing an angle like that in Saudi Arabia, like, that is going to stoke a lot of tension. And here this is, pro wrestling is kind of just a tool in this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And like, we had to kind of cover it from that perspective. And it's been interesting over the period as it has gone on. Like, there are people that do not want to hear that stuff on our site. And then there's others that applaud us for doing it. You're not always going to satisfy everyone. But to me, I would much rather cover the story in that way and we lose several people than ignore it. And that is, like, I just feel that would not be doing what our site has kind of established itself on by covering that stuff. And then the Vince McMahon stuff, I mean, that was, sadly, like, if you had asked me, like, could you have envisioned a story like this happening in pro wrestling? It's like, it wouldn't be the craziest thought, but it's a harrowing story for anyone that's read the complaint from Janelle Grant. It's a really, really horrible, like, complaint to have to read and go through the details. That was not enjoyable to read, and it's sort of this this cloud over the most influential figure in pro wrestling's history, at least of the past 50 years. And I mean, it's also led to such a divide into what is now the current incarnation of WWE in a post Vince McMahon world. But the idea of, like, that we'd be covering an industry where Vince McMahon would basically be completely out of power. I don't know how many people could have envisioned that this guy would be in the chair for the remainder of his living days. And the fact that Vince McMahon is as far removed from power as we've seen in our lifetime, I mean, that's something pretty significant.
Well, that was always the old belief, right, from fans and journalists, everybody, is that he'd die in that chair, right? Like, he would literally die at a show or something because you couldn't pull him away from it. Well, thanks for answering some of the heavy stuff here, man, because it's one of those things where I even struggle. Like there was that year of all the Vince stuff and then the Saudi stuff. And again, I like to have fun with our show. Like I really try and post the positivity of pro wrestling. That's why we call the overhang Celebrate Wrestling, because I wanted to give a positive headspace for this. But yeah, there was that time where it got really, really grim, and you're having to read all these things. And I'm having to read up on like Wall Street law, and then I'm having to read up on like, NDAs and everything else. And so I let Dave do a lot of the heavy lifting. And like I said, you guys are some of the best. You and Brandon, when you guys get together and go through the filings and the paperwork and all this other stuff, like it's a really good educational source for fans like us who just want to, really just turn on wrestling and try and enjoy it. But at the same time, realize this is like the NFL. This is like Disney. This is like anything. It is a major entertainment structure. And I do believe that it does deserve some semblance of coverage. And I don't know if we need to go into a lot of the backstage drama stuff that comes out, but that happens too, right? In every other entertainment medium. So why not here too?
It does. And I mean, we're also in an era now where like WWE is getting involved with like all of these like local branches of government. And a lot of this is like, there's information out there. And I think Brandon Thurston is as strong a reporter as possible when it comes to unearthing some of these documents. And then it's taking what is a lot of dense text, but if you can uncover it, there's some really fascinating things that you can learn how this business operates, and you can get to the core of it. And as we've discovered, like there is a great aversion to allowing this information to get out there for people like Brandon Thurston that are seeking it out, or David Bixenspan. But those that do, I mean, that's kind of the first hurdle to cover. And then what I have found is then it's taking, say, 200 pages of documents. How do you present this to an audience that is understanding like what is the significance of this? And that's how I always try to approach like any kind of story, especially these complicated ones. What is the story? Why is this important? And how can we as easily relay that information so that the listener comes away with something that they understand? Like, okay, this is the site fee that WWE is getting. Why is this important? Why do I care about this as a wrestling fan? And that is sort of what my thought process is when it comes to these stories. Because if you get bogged down in the numbers and figures, a lot of it can just become white noise because it is very dense. But behind that, there's a real fascinating picture about how this company and companies, because AEW is part of this, how they approach their business and what is ultimately some of their biggest revenue now that is coming in towards them.
We're talking to John Pollock, special guest here on the show. John, thank you again for making the time for us here. I know we're going a little longer than I'd promised, but if you don't mind, I'd just like to ask you a couple more questions if you got time.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. John, again, the work you guys do at Post Wrestling is fantastic. I want to take you back in your own mind as a young wrestling fan, before you were worried about running your own business and covering and being one of the top journalists in the business here. What were you watching? What did you grow up on? And who were you actually enjoying and maybe even cheering for as a kid?
I found pro wrestling in early 92 watching WWF primarily. It wasn't until a couple years in, like WCW was very hard to like lock down in Ontario, where I grew up, and just find it. I didn't have access to TBS. So a lot of it was, my early years was watching just the syndication of superstars. Like we weren't getting Raw here when it launched. So it was primarily off of that. And from there, it was like at a very young age, realizing that that pay-per-view was not just some random channel that it was on. I think I learned that lesson at WrestleMania 8 when I went to turn on the Fox affiliate and realized that no, WrestleMania is something you have to get a box for, and then you have to pay for it on top of that. So that was a big lesson for an 8-year-old at the time. And then I guess towards the late 90s, that's when I got more access to WCW. Again, like like Mike, you'd obviously know this, but outside of Canada, like we never got like the Monday Night War. Like we didn't have like flipping channels back and forth. I mean, at a certain point you would get Raw on Monday nights, but for many people it was like Tuesday afternoon for Raw, Wednesday afternoon for Nitro. You had to work to be able to keep up on pro wrestling, even during the boom period. But then getting online, that's when I discovered a lot more like diverse wrestling and, ordering tapes for the first time and stuff like that. But, my early years, I was obviously a big fan of like Bret Hart. I was, it was primarily through WWF. And it was then like, you go to your local video store and you discover this whole other world of wrestling that is out there and going back in history and watching old stuff and catching up.
Well, I grew up here in Alberta and, a lot of it, same thing, WWF. And so I must have come in a little earlier than you because I came in around WrestleMania 5 time. Mm-hmm. And, same thing. I remember going to the video store and you were so conditioned as a kid just to look for that WWF whatever. And I didn't understand chronological order then. I was just like, oh, here's a show. I'll watch this one. I haven't watched this one. And again, kids don't know how much they're missing out on spending an hour at the video store trying to figure out which tapes you want to take home. But it's funny. I'm just looking at your office there, your studio behind you, and I see stacks of VHS tapes right now. Is that from tape trading days or is that personal collection?
A lot of it is personal collection. I wasn't a heavy, I bought tapes off of places like High Spots and stuff, but never got heavy into the whole tape trading scene and stuff like that. So a lot of it was just, buying blank tapes and saving stuff or just stuff that's accumulated over the years. And now it just makes for a nice background because I don't even own a VCR player at this point. And, there you go. Physical media is on the decline.
I just bought one 2 years ago with the plans of Digitech because I'm like you. I have a ton of those Raws and then a ton of those Nitros when TSN started running both on the Tuesday and Wednesday, like you said. And yeah, that's just a flashback for any fans our age that remember those times. Yeah, we never got the Monday Night War. We missed a lot of content in Canada too because TSN would pre-censor a lot of the shows.
They would censor them. They would get bumped for curling every year. Like
Westminster Dog Show.
Playoff time. It was always like, it was so tough sometimes to just follow things. Like my introduction mainly to like weekly WCW programming. Again, this is before I had TBS, so I don't get Saturday night. It's before Thunder's launched. And we would get a 1 hour edited version of Nitro on Sunday, like 6 days after it would air. And this is before I've got the internet. So that was like it was like that and like Norm DaCosta's Starphone hotline. Like those were pretty much the ways to keep up with things at the time in like the mid to late 90s as well. So like I've always like thought that for anyone that came out of like that era of pro wrestling, like even if you grew up in the 80s, you would have access to Stampede on TSN. You would be able to have so much wrestling like on Saturdays. If you grew up in the 90s, like if you came out of that era still a wrestling fan, like you would really harden yourself because it was work to keep up with wrestling and find it and become like interested enough that you were going to seek it out every week because it was a chore at times to find your wrestling when it would be bounced around the schedule.
And you could tell to the guys that were editing that 1 hour Nitro, and I remember the weirdest things. There was one episode of that 1 hour Nitro, and it was in the middle of a Lex Luger match, and he was outside the ring, and fans will be right back, and they go to break, and they come back, and it's a totally different segment. So,
yeah, and that would happen a lot. Like they would, there were sometimes it was like a 2 or even a 3 hour version, and it's like coming up. They're teeing up stuff that you would never see in the 1 hour. It was filmed by like Mark Robinson at a studio in Hamilton. Like it was just like it was like the bare bones of a commercial for WCW programming that. Again, you'd have to wait 6 days from its air date. Like you couldn't even fathom that today. Like waiting 6 days to see a portion of the show that had aired live on Monday night.
John, I want to thank you again for coming on here. I'm going to end with this because it's funny you mentioned that can't even fathom waiting for anything these days. the after shows, things like that. I was doing that for a while when I was on the other radio show, and then it just became so much. And now I feel I've got a good life balance with the day job, with doing this stuff, but trying to fit in a ton of actual live pro wrestling that's on TV now. Again, we were feeling rich if we got 2 hours a week back as kids. Now we're getting 20 hours a weekend, 30 hours a weekend. You've got a life, man. I talked to my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, I got Survivor Series on Saturday, so do you want to come over and watch that? Because that's what I have to do. And this isn't a business for me. I always say, we're doing this for funsies. You do a great job, but you got to watch all this stuff, man. How do you live?
I wouldn't say it's easy. No one wants to hear, oh, boo-hoo, you have to watch wrestling. But it's the watching part is that's a portion of what I'm doing. And that's kind of sometimes the difficult part, because I can get a lot done during the day, but in the evening, I have 2 kids, I have a wife, and I just try my best. When I am off the clock, I'm completely off. I don't have social media on my phone. I try to be just detached when I need to be, but it's very tough when there's so many of these nights that we are recording, that we are watching stuff that you want to keep up with so that you can be, as up to date as you can. But we're at a period now where it's impossible to watch everything that's out there. So it's a unique insight, because I probably represent, as do you, a very small percentage that is in the position where work requires you to cover all this stuff. And that makes me think how is just the average fan handling all of this? And that becomes interesting. If you just you may be really interested in watching the next AEW pay-per-view, but if you are staying up to date on Raw and SmackDown, that alone is how many television programs outside of wrestling are you dedicating that amount of hours to?
You just listed 10 hours right there. If you were to go from a Friday to a Monday there, because the AEW thing, God knows how long that can last, but that's where just average people who don't need to be watching this, it falls out of your routine. And once you break up people's routine, it's very hard to reestablish those. So I think that's always kind of an interesting, and I can't speak from that perspective. So I always appreciate feedback from fans of how they are tackling all of this. But it's a very difficult balance to be able to keep up in all of this and the increasing number of nights. And it's why I dread when we have 3 hours of SmackDown coming up. January, baby. Here it comes. Well, John, again, thank you so much for making the time. We went a lot longer than originally planned, but I feel like we're just scratching the surface, and thank you for spending time with some of our audience here. Like I said, we're not after anybody. We're just here to have fun. And when it comes to finding the real trusted information out there, congratulations to you and your team on the great work you guys do. And I hope we can do more of this down the road here. I really appreciated the conversation, and just keep up the great work down there at Post, because it's fantastic.
Well, number one, I really enjoyed this, Mike. Be happy to come on again. Number two, I hope this lived up to the expectations of your audience. And number three, I hope I had enough energy for you.
There it is. If you could just put it up a little more, I'll send an email.
Yes, please. Or just go to the YouTube comments. That probably.
Oh yeah, and I'll tweet you. I'll tweet right at you.
They're always wonderful. It always brings up your self-esteem when you read the YouTube comments.
Beverages of choice are across the table here. I got my diet soda going on my end. Mitch, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I have a diet soda as well.
Yes, so do I.
That's right.
Both have 2 diet sodas.
Yeah, in short glasses with a bit of ice. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
For real, what do you guys got? The people want to know. What are you drinking?
All right, what are we drinking?
What do we have here? Royal Reserve, little Royal Reserve with a splash of
No, Alberta Premium.
Alberta Premium.
You got Alberta Premium rye with a little splash of Diet Dr. Pepper because that's what's in the non-work fridge.
That's right.
Nice. All right, Joe. I'm gonna guess coffee, but am I wrong?
Medium double.
There it is. Yeah, and Stefan, all the way over in the UK, who's staying up especially late just to do this with us this year for the holiday hullabaloo. Stefan, what do we got? I saw a white can of something, I think.
Okay, so I don't know where in the world this is available, and this is a godsend for a diabetic. Zero sugar, Pepsi, cream soda flavour.
All right.
It is amazing.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for it. Did you bring that in from, I'm not trying to be funny here, did you bring that in from like Japan or something, or is that something just available in the UK?
No, it's in the UK. They were very difficult to come by. Like, stock was always very, very low. But now, thankfully, I live next door to a supermarket and they have it all the time. So, it's
Look
amazing.
at you, living the high life, Stefan Bennett.
Yeah, if only.
Mike, I appreciate that you said Japan so I could say kabuki.
He didn't say it, Mike.
You didn't say it. That's right. It's the worst.
We have to send a shout out to our friend Andy Evans, who unfortunately isn't able to make it for reasons, but we're sending our absolute best out to Andy as always. And you and Andy, I guess Stefan will be getting back together for more editions of Legends and Champions coming up in the new year. But since you're the one staying up the latest so far, tell us about the holidays for you, man, and what your plans are for the season and what's going on.
I don't know. Okay, so on a bum note, my partner and I of 3 years, we split up at Halloween. We're still kind of friends and figuring stuff out. But my plans were with her. That's not happening. So I'm going to see family for a bit, and then I'll probably spend the rest of the day by myself, chilling and just binge watching movies and enjoying myself that way.
Okay, so normally I've had a rule, and I try and apply it as best I can to my own shows, but it's the holiday hullabaloo. We're all in this together. Let's talk about our lives a bit here. So, obviously, Stefan's being strung along right now. Mitch and Dimitri, how are things going for you?
Go ahead.
We're ready to step in at any time. We can say it's amicable or not. We're chair shot ready.
Yeah.
You give us the address, we'll go on. We're a team here. We're a team, okay? And no, holidays are good. Look, it's a busy time. I think the one thing we'll all echo here is everyone's busy. It seems to be the last mad dash for work, personal, whatever it is, but nothing too crazy on this one. It's a big family time in the Carolus household, so we're just hunkering down and just trying to enjoy the days as much as we can, but also recharging the batteries. I just like utilizing the time for the break. Yourself?
Same thing. I'll reiterate what Dimitri said times two. Got 2 young guys at home. They're ready to open up their presents, get a little crazy. Mama's going to be really disappointed. I got nothing right now.
Really?
I didn't know what to do. Hopefully you guys give me a little cash. Cash. That's what you would go. Agree with that. So overall, boys, I love this time of year. It's actually, there's just something about it. It's cold here in Calgary, so not the biggest fan of that, but overall, it's feeling a lot like Christmas.
Hey, you're warming our hearts, Mitch.
Thank you.
Speed here.
Hey, cheers to you.
I can't say. I didn't get this guy.
I think it's safe to say, guys, this isn't either of their first short glasses with brown liquid and ice cubes in it yet. Joe, how about you? Take us through the Aguinaldo Christmas this year.
I'm gonna echo what Dimitri said. It's just the mad dash at work. It's the mad dash. I like Mitch. I haven't done any sort of shopping, so I gotta figure that out. But otherwise, just recharging. It's been a crazy year at work. It's just been a crazy year, period. And I just want to hopefully take some time off and not do anything other than learn some lyrics because I just became a singer again. So,
all right,
nice.
Joe changes bands more than some people change socks. Like this.
No. In this case, we sort of got rid of his singers, and I sort of became the de facto vocalist because I'm the closest person that can carry a tune until we find a singer.
You guys are all hearing what I'm hearing, right? Joe pushed this person out so he could be the lead singer.
Absolutely.
Also, but before we get too far into this, okay? So I've seen pictures of Stefan and Mitch and Dimitri, all right? But seeing them on video, y'all are sexy beasts. All of you. Like, it's insane how sexy beasts you guys are.
We're trying to keep up with you. We see you in the garage doing chest pumps. You bicep curl what I do on the bench.
You got Stefan who's like losing stones, and then I'm looking at like the Greek dudes, and you guys are all like, look at us guys. So no, y'all look good. Y'all look good.
I appreciate that.
Just chopped liver over here. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you, buddy.
Mike, what about you, buddy? What's going on this season?
What's happening?
Well, by the time we're producing this, or I should say it's actually streaming to the fine folks that are listening, I will be in, I have to look it up because I honestly, this is how small the name of this town is. I will be in Telqua, British Columbia, which is very far north and cold. And it's one of those places that you fly to an airport and still have to drive 3 hours from the airport to get to.
Oh, Lord.
It kind of sounds like one of those movies or video games where it sort of starts off with this beautiful trip around the holiday season, and then it intensifies when you realize there's nobody there but demons and spirits, and you're trapped there in like what seems like a never-ending loop of a nightmare. And I really look forward to hearing you write a book about it, Mike.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that, as the lady friend and I are probably listening to you say that while we're on that 3-hour drive, so she's going to love you talking about her homeland like that.
Oh, wait.
Secondly...
Hi, lady friend. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, hi. It's giving me Alan Wake vibes.
This lady friend got a lady friend for Stefan. Whoa.
Secondly, if there's no more McGuire on wrestling, then we know exactly what happened, and Stefan got it absolutely on the head.
So we're streaming live from Telqua. All right.
Well, you know what? There may actually be some content produced up there. We'll see. You know me. I bring the laptop with me wherever I go. But, yeah, I'm really trying to actually enjoy a holiday break now. And in the, 2.5 years of McGuire on wrestling, and then the shows before that, I can still count, I think on one hand, maybe I've gone on to hand two now of how many shows and weekends I've actually taken off. So to enjoy this holiday break and have you guys be a part of it is always appreciated.
Oh, I can tell you. 3.
Is it 3?
Yep.
No, okay.
Something like that.
Joe just does everything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? On that note, I think I should say that in the new year, too, the new shirts are starting to come out, and the first wave that's coming out is going to, in fact, be GW Joe.
Oh, God.
The Filipino-Canadian hero shirt. Yes, big round of applause.
Yeah, let's do it.
Joe.
You know what doesn't work is clapping on Zoom. Fellas, I think we have to do it. I think we have to talk about the year in wrestling a bit, because that's why we're here, and that's why we've all been doing these shows every week for ever. But let's face it, 2025, a wildly interesting year for many reasons. I'm going to ask first around the table here, what was, in your mind, the standout moment of the year, whether it's something that happened behind the scenes, something that happened in the wrestling business, or something that happened in storyline that stood out most to you? And I'll start with mine, just to give you guys time to think. You know, it's like when you're ordering at the restaurant and everybody needs to look at the menu.
Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. My biggest one, honestly, was probably the big news. Well, twofold. First of all, the big news that at this time is still going on with the potential ownership change with Warner Brothers Discovery and what could happen there for AEW and moving forward. But secondly, for me, and this is probably because it's still fresh in my mind, was just how polarizing the Survivor Series from this year was. Because the amount of negative energy that seemed to come out of that, but then juxtaposition with, and I should disclose, we are recording this part the night before John Cena's last match. It seems to be that especially fans of WWE are in this emotional limbo right now of either we're going to have one of the most memorable years ever, or we're going to have some of the most memorable disappointments of the year. So I think for me that's the twofold is from a business standpoint, the certainty, uncertainty in the business as far as ownership and media rights and all this goes, which is really a fun thing to talk about. I've been talking to Meltzer way too much, you can tell. Or secondly, just how it feels to be a WWE fan, and these things just keep costing more and more money. And I think that the shine is starting to wear off a bit. Who wants to go next? Or does anybody want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'll jump on that because, I kind of agree a bit with what you said about the whole John Cena thing as well. I would say the heel turn was a standout thing for all the wrong reasons because it fell very, very flat, and obviously they kind of scrapped that quite quickly. So for me, I think the whole Cena thing. The other one as well is Bill Goldberg getting cut off before he could make a speech. That was one of my favourite parts of this year, I have to say. And then rant online about it when it was just like, dude, you're not even in the same conversation as practically any of the names you've ever mentioned. So I have to say that, put that out there. But do you know? I think there's been a lot of reflection when it comes to John Cena. I've made no secret ever that I've never been a John Cena fan since the end of his Dr. Thugonomics days. However, I do find that the ending of his career, I do feel a little bit sad, which surprises me a little bit. I think it's because, despite I've never been a fan, I feel that respect is there, that appreciation for what he has done. That's there, but yeah, it's going to be it's very strange. I think it's more that longevity when all the people that you grew up watching for so many years, when they kind of come to the end of their careers, it's kind of like there's no one left. It's all.
If I manage to get the video up of this, every time that Stefan has said that he's never been a John Cena fan, Mitch's heart just breaks a little more each time.
I'm sorry, I was the guy that went to a live show wearing the anti-John Cena t-shirt back in the sort of around 2010 with the "We Can't See You, Cena Sucks," and I got set upon by crowds of children pointing at me, literally berating me for wearing it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get attacked by a midget army in a minute. Like these little kids are going to pounce on me in a moment.
Did one of those kids have a beard and a lean little?
Funny enough, Daniel Bryan was there that day.
4'2" with a beard, it's right here. How's the kid?
First of all, obviously you don't remember me, Stefan. You don't remember me?
Hold it back. But yeah, it's. I think this year, I think the whole Cena thing and it not quite being what you would have expected it to have been for such a huge deal. They call him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I disagree, but they call him that, and I think his winding down his career this year has been
doubling
quite
down on it, eh, guys?
Yeah, it has been, and I do feel sad that it's been that bad. But I think WWE, in a way, this year has gone down a little bit compared to last year and the year before. I thought it was getting better, but I thought it's kind of dipped a bit this year.
I don't know. I mean, to me, they rode so high for a while there. Sometimes you got nowhere else to go but down. But you know what, Mitch? You've been doing your best at biting your tongue here, so I'm going to let you have the counterpoint.
Well, thank you. My esteemed colleagues, nice to see you all, and Merry Christmas. Stefan, if I may.
Here we go.
Listen, guys. I do have to agree. There's a slight point. He's not wrong. This is where I'm going to go. I love the John Cena, maybe for all the wrong reasons, okay? Of the entrance, of everything he stands for and all. I just loved it. But here's the thing. we've never seen anything like this, like a retirement tour like this. No one's ever seen anything like it. It's kind of awkward for all of us because as wrestling fans, we saw Ric Flair leave, but not like this. Sting last year, kind of same, but not really the same. So to kind of back him up a little bit, I get it. It was a really awkward retirement tour. You started with the heel turn, which was maybe the most talked about thing in the world at one time. In the world, think about that, right? And then it just went. They dropped the ball so badly on that they made it awkward. Then he comes back to be the good guy to now tomorrow. I said I wasn't going to do this.
It's okay.
I said,
just read. Just keep reading. It's okay.
I said tomorrow's going to be really great and it'll be fun. But even tomorrow's a little awkward. They said they're going to probably start Saturday night's main event with him and Gunther as the first match. And then I read a report today. This show might go for 5 hours tomorrow. I don't know what the heck that's about. Find out tomorrow on the ACT. But the reality,
dude, this is airing 3 weeks after the matches happened.
These are. But Mike, wouldn't you agree, or the rest of the panel, wouldn't you agree? This is the most awkward retirement party situation you've ever seen of all time.
So go back and listen.
Let's ask Joe.
No, I'm going to take a bit more of a positive approach. Now, have there been bumps in the roads? Absolutely. But if you look at this from a holistic perspective, I think this retirement, and as someone who has seen a lot of retirements, I think this has been one of the better ones for sure. And like everything that he's done, even the awkward heel turn, I think is everything that everyone wanted to see, and he's sort of compressed all of that in 1 year. And like, My only complaint, and I'm using that in very big air quotes, is that in hindsight, had he ended his retirement run with that match against AJ Styles from Crown Jewel, I think that would have been the perfect retirement. But other than that, I have no complaints about the John Cena thing.
What do you guys think about, I don't know if you've seen any of the interviews, he's done so many over the last little while here, but he made comments, I believe it was to Chris Van Vliet, talking about that match and that intro that he had written for AJ Styles, like for himself for AJ Styles. And then he says he went back to the locker room afterwards after the Crown Jewel show and apologized to everyone for, quote, going into business for himself. Part of me sees that as John Cena trying to be the right guy and do the right thing here, but isn't that kind of what this whole year's been about, is doing John Cena the way John Cena wants to do himself?
Yeah, but I think part of it, too, is that he's always been such a company guy. And I'm not surprised that he did that. Now, did he need to do that? No, I don't think anyone thought he was going into business for himself. But, again, that's just a very John Cena thing that he would have done.
Okay, well, this all spun off of Stefan's standout moment of the year, so I think we got to go up to the GWO now. And guys, get your thoughts on the things that stood out for you the most this year.
I'm not one to one-up Mitch, so I'm going to talk only about John Cena, in all fairness to him. No, so the standout moment for me, Netflix. Right? It was it really changed everything. It changed how I look at it, changed how everyone here looks at wrestling. I mean, it's the first time that every single week, from a WWE standpoint, that I don't have to be on time. And I just don't know how I feel about it. And then it also changed how I look at pay-per-views or PLEs. Are they actually even that impactful to me anymore? Because I have access to them anytime I want, whenever I want. So Netflix to me is literally the biggest change, not of the year, but I think as a wrestling fan all time, next to Hulk Hogan versus The Ultimate Warrior, which made me cry.
Good point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, actually, if I can just jump on that point, Dimitri hit it on the head. Like, and we've all been watching wrestling for a long time, but like, I like to go on Netflix and I just kind of browse, and if I'm not watching wrestling live, I have a hard time going back to it and watching it. So, like, I'm a few weeks behind on Raw, and quite frankly, I'm like, whatever, because I think I know it's there. So it's like, okay, I don't have to catch it Monday, I'll catch it Tuesday, and then it's like, if I don't catch it Tuesday, I'll watch it on the weekend. I'll watch it next Wednesday. Whereas when it was live and in living color, you had to watch because you couldn't go back. And I think that's the big investment.
If I could jump on one more on that is, I find that, and we talked about this too on the ACT, but I find that I really had an appreciation that I'm more of a promo guy than I am the wrestling, because now on Netflix, when I'm backtracking, what I'm finding is all I'm doing is fast forwarding until what I know is about to be a moment. Whereas before I just had the ambient play in the background, and I would almost let the commentators, so it was almost like, hey, if Michael Cole or Jim Ross or Jerry the King, like if the volume spiked, okay, I gotta look. What's happening? What's going on? Now I'm just like, KKK, go. Oh, okay, stop. That looks like something.
Yeah, to jump on that as well, I found myself, since they've moved to Netflix and that, I'm not watching it every week like I was. I haven't watched Raw the past 2 weeks, but I just catch the highlights on YouTube. You know, like anything that's of any significance is all over the social media anyway. So it's not like you're really missing that much, unless someone will turn around and say, oh, so-and-so had a 5-star match on Raw this week, and I might then go out of my way to go back and watch that for that very reason. But also, when we was talking about standout moments again, and this would be no surprise to you guys, Hogan's passing for me. I lost two of my heroes so close, Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, and obviously everyone knows that I couldn't contain my grief on Legends and Champions when we did the Hogan tribute show. That was very raw, that was very genuine for me, because Hogan was the catalyst of what started this whole love of professional wrestling for me. My opinions of him changed over the years, as I've made no secret, but that was a huge deal. But for professional wrestling as well, everyone will have their opinions on Hogan. Of course they will. But you can't take away how pivotal he was in creating it, in terms of taking it to the next level. So, yeah.
Mitch, how about you? Biggest moment or standout thing you're taking away from the year in wrestling?
Stefan hit a point, and so did Dimitri. I was going to use the Netflix one. Since my partner did it, I'll go to the next one and kind of say the Vince McMahon, that documentary, and then the other thing, the Netflix special of, seeing behind the curtain. It kind of opened up my eyes in a lot of things, and I got to be honest, the Vince McMahon one, kind of interesting to see and hear his side of the story, but then the one of the pulling the back of the curtain of the where Triple H and
Unreal,
Unreal.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I really think it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, do I really want to know what's happening? And as much as I do, man, do I not. And I guess it's kind of in play with Dimitri with the Netflix stuff. It's like this world is opening up. And as much as all I've seen lately, Mike and Joe and Stefan and Dimitri, is Who's the Masked Men, and all these feeds come through, even on the Celebrate Wrestling page. That's all we see. Who could it be? Who is it? And unfortunately, somebody was right, and we're gonna see that answer. And it's kind of like wrecking the whole fun of what it once was.
Go back in 2 weeks from now for a what if.
A what if it was? No, but it's kind of like we're really getting the live version of seeing everything up front. It's kind of breaking my heart a little bit. Like, if you were a true hardcore wrestling fan, you had to go dig for this stuff, where now it's just right in front of you.
Just like normal kabuki theater, you just want to buy into the storyline.
You didn't say it.
You never did.
Didn't think that.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with Pete Dunne. Pete and I have known each other for years. I actually refereed his matches when he was this young teenager. And
Hold on, Stefan, I got to pick up that name you dropped. Hold on.
And Andy's gonna love this. So we were having this conversation, and it was just before WrestleMania, where he defended the NXT UK title against Gunther when he was known as Walter at WrestleMania weekend. And even he said that the thing is now, unlike when we were kids, is everything's oversaturated now when it comes to professional wrestling. Where we grew up, and it was, unless you watched it on cable or pay-per-view, everything was very limited. You knew what the companies wanted you to know and what they wanted to show you. Now it's everything's out there. There's no secrets, and it is kind of sad in many ways, because, as just alluded to, Unreal, I watch it and I'm thinking, how much of it is actually still scripted? How much are they still just playing us along to their narrative?
Joe, biggest moment or standout thing of the year for you?
I'm going to give you two. So, and they're both personal. All right. So the first one was being in the audience for a Joe Hendry match and the pop that he got and everyone singing his song. That was insane. The second one, and I'm going to admit, I'm going to blow a little smoke for you guys. I don't podcast weekly. I don't do a show, but you guys letting me be part of this has been really, really cool for me because you guys, the four of you guys, the five of you guys are still part of the reason why I still follow this thing called wrestling. So I want to say thank you to you guys for letting me be a very small part of this, but a part of this nonetheless.
This is really awkward to tell you that the GWO shirt was actually your buyout. So it's been nice having you, Joe.
That's okay. I'll take that package. I'm good.
Just to go a little more inside baseball, Joe, and this is how bad it is, because Joe and I work in media especially. When you said I've seen a lot of retirements over the years, I'm like, yeah, we both work in Canadian media. We've seen a lot of, quote, retirements.
Retirements, yes, and future endeavoring, for sure. Oh my God.
Man. Well, you know what? And to share on that again, Joe, and for everybody, and Andy, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us. And, there's some more names coming into the pack here, it looks like, in the new year. Thank you guys for putting in the constant efforts that you do. And Mitch and Dimitri for giving me the constant stress every week because, it just keeps me on my toes. I appreciate it.
But remember, he didn't say it.
He didn't say it, Mike.
He didn't say it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that might have been the biggest moment in wrestling.
Yeah, it was definitely the biggest moment of your show because there's people just discovering it now. Like, what are they talking about? This didn't say it thing. And I hate to say this, but I may have a T-shirt template ready for a Dimitri didn't say it. So,
well, you can release the two. The Dimitri didn't say it. Dimitri did say it. And then which side are you on?
That's just it, right? Make it a poll.
Okay,
Mitch?
Thank you, head of sales.
Can I say one thing? May I ask? We said a lot about WWE stuff, but may I ask? Where do you guys think AEW did AEW make a jump this year?
That's why he's here.
I know I spent.
That's why he's here.
I gotta say, after watching the 6-hour marathon that I did, okay, I starting to understand why and how people love the AEW. And then again on with the Continental Classic that's going on. That Kyle Fletcher and Bailey fight. I know, it's still, in all honesty, you guys, but did AEW make that next jump? Can we just talk about that real quick? I think 2025, they made a little jump. That's my thought.
Daddy, your thoughts?
I don't know if it's so much of a jump as much as it is a claw back to the right direction. If you want to talk about jumps, I think we have to look at the future of TNA. And what's going to happen there, because that's a company that made a jump and will be making a jump in the new year here. What's it going to mean numbers-wise? We don't know. It's not even close to as big of a deal as what AEW got as far as money or anything like that goes. But the boost they got from WWE, whether it's in dollars or relevancy, I think relevancy is actually where they've probably seen more of a payoff. Now, the downside to that is that WWE has also taken a lot of TNA's top stars for their own now, whereas AEW is finally starting to get their guys and girls back up that echelon. So I will agree that AEW is back in an upwards momentum, but I think they really didn't have a choice. They don't have much left to do, because if they don't, TNA can and will catch up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think AEW did, let's say, make efforts to right the ship, and there were some positive spots. Like, I know you guys might laugh at this, but I thought Ricochet was hilarious this year. I thought he was great. I've always liked the Young Bucks. You've got Mercedes. She's great. Toni Storm. How can you not mention Toni Storm? So they have a lot of bright spots, but they still have a little bit of work to do. And yes, that TNA thing is going to be interesting, because let's face it, how many times in the last 2 decades have we said, yeah, TNA's done, they're not going to last, and they're still here. And I think now they've got the right leadership. They've got the TV deal, as quote unquote small as it might be. I think TNA is going to be the promotion to watch this year.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. I mean, the thing with TNA is TNA have been fairly consistent over the years of putting on a very, very good show in a more intimate setting with smaller crowds. It's always just been that issue with getting eyes on the product, the television deals. That's always been their biggest hindrance. And I agree. I think it's going to be a very big year for them when they finally get exposed to more viewers. Regarding AEW, I got to a point where I was in 2023, I was loving AEW, and then 2024 it kind of dipped. My problem with AEW is there's too much going on. There's so much talent within that company and with Ring of Honor that are not getting enough TV time. Some of their storylines don't make sense, or they're just kind of like, I don't know why you're wasting TV time on that, because it's not really doing anything. The crowd are not reacting. But
hey, his name is RJ City and he's a friend of the show.
but that's the thing. AEW have got the wrestling world in their hands. They just need to know how to get the engine working in the right direction. That's all they've got to do. Is they've got a bit of everything for every wrestling fan. That's the good thing about AEW. They got a bit of everything. So who knows what 2026 has in store for them, but it'll be interesting to watch as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, but you bring up an interesting point. I know this is one that Mitch and Dimitri have brought up on their show all the time, is that, like, so AEW, we know they can wrestle, but they need the sizzle. They need that promo. They need that personality, and that's I still think they're very lacking in that department, right? You've got, like, Tony Storm is awesome. Never hear anyone complaining about Tony Storm. The minute Ricochet got this weird character, everyone's loving him. We know he can go, but this heel character is hilarious, and they need to develop more of that, I think, and that will raise their game. And Stefan, to your point, I agree. I think they're trying to throw too much stuff at the wall. I think what you do is you focus on your, like, let's say 5 key guys, and you build really good storylines, let those run out, then you cycle in the next storylines. And I think if you're trying to throw too much at the wall, you're not focusing. And if you're not focusing, then you're going to lose a lot of people's attention.
Yeah, and I think the other issue as well is, and I know it's been all over the internet as it does, is the risks in AEW, how far too much talent are pushing themselves for the sake of trying to, I don't know, get over or just impress the fans, because some of the stuff I've seen is actually really quite scary, and I've seen some death matches, and I'm just thinking, is the risk really worth it? You know, do they need to kind of just rein it in a little bit? Because when you look at people like Adam Cole, for example, top talent, but suffering hugely from concussions, and it's kind of like, I mean, you look at Darby Allin. I mean, the guy's always in and out of hospital. There's always something wrong with Darby Allin, and he's still a youngish guy. And you're thinking what kind of career he could have had that he's probably not going to have, because his career's getting shortened and shortened every year. So yeah, it's tough to watch sometimes.
Well, guys, as we continue with the holiday hullabaloo, we're almost out of time for this segment together here, but I wanted to give you all the chance to, and Joe, you did a great job kind of already of it, but, you know, we got people that have downloaded this, and we hit a milestone, which I understand some podcasts can do in an hour, and that's fine. You know, some of them do it in a month, and for us, we've done it in the run we've done it, but we hit 100,000 downloads. We're adding a new radio station in the new year.
Yay!
This is all good stuff, yeah, but it's not possible without the people that are spending their time with us here. So I wanted to go round table here, and GWO, we'll start with you guys first of all. And the funny thing is, I notice more and more people are starting to discover the show, too. I don't know if you've noticed this, too, but you're starting to get some new feedback from people that weren't always on board before. And just I wanted to get your thoughts on how the year's been and what you think of the people that spend their time with us.
Mike, first off, thank you. Thank you for letting us be on the show. We really do appreciate it. And thanks for being awesome, man. Like, I don't want to pump your tires too much, but at the same time, you deserve it. You put a lot of work into it. And me and Dimitri greatly appreciate how What do you want me to say, man? Letting us kind of ride that line right to the fun. And at the same time, you also are just a great person to kind of send some information to, and your feedback. Like last week, me and you had a nice little conversation about some things that I was doing on the show when I had to do it on my own, because Dimitri left me flapping in the wind.
Do it again. I'd do it again.
We do it in a second.
Do it again.
No, but overall, what a great show. What a great community you've built, and be proud of everything. Celebrate Wrestling is going to take over the world. I know it. I already see it. It's taking over interior BC. It's taking over Alberta, and soon we're into the prairies and then the world. It's all over. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Daddy Show.
Son of Listen, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Mitch said as well. So I want the world to know that you talked about our show and you say, hey, you got more traction, and it's true, and it's nice, and it's amazing. We see in the engagement and the Facebook page and all that. But to Mitch's point, it is because of you. One thing that the world needs to know is that when we talked about this and we met on the Dungeon Show for the first time, and when we got together and you allowed us to have this platform, and the one thing you said is, I don't want to get in your way, I don't want to stifle any creativity, and you just give us a forum to be us, and you put so much work into this. It was called McGuire on Wrestling, and you brought the feed, and I think people need to know that the reason you wanted to change that was because you didn't want it to just be like, hey, this is only my thing, because you're so team oriented. The alternate commentary table doesn't exist without your vision, without your leadership, and without all the hard work that goes behind it, because these two goofballs, we show up every Saturday, we send you everything, and you really are making us look better than what we could have done ourselves. We're very indebted to you, but that's also our commitment to this whole show. We believe in it. We believe in Celebrate Wrestling. We believe in the whole program. We're as much invested in this for life, no GWO pun intended, as much as we can. But as much as you like our opinions, Daddy, it has been just such a pleasure to work with you. I think Mitch and I really want to make sure that there's other voices of all the hard work you put. I look forward when it's dungeon shows as well, and it's something a little different, but it's still us together. And I'm looking forward to January 9th, and we're here to support you and Stefan and Andy and Joe and everyone on the team. And it's just been an awesome thing. But I just can't stress enough the appreciation that Mitch and I have, that you have been able to help us have a forum that we can participate, is something we'll be indebted to you forever.
Well,
so thank you, Mike.
And I do appreciate that greatly, but I do want to turn it over back again to the people that are listening, right? And don't get me wrong, you guys can text me and send me all these glowing messages every day, and I'll take it for the rest of my life. But when it comes down to it, there's so many people that are on board with this thing, whether it's just chiming in on the social media, whether it's chiming in on shows themselves, right? We've had a bunch of people throughout the years. I know you guys want to bring people on your show. I want to talk about hopefully with the new edition of the new radio stations coming up in the future as well. Maybe this is something that becomes like a, dare I say, like its original incarnation of a live audio wrestling, or maybe it becomes something of what David LaGreca has managed to do with a Busted Open. I would love to have something like that, but at the same time, keep it our own thing as well, and come at it from a different angle. Have the comedy, have the humor, have the fun, have the smarts, have the Britishness. Which we'll get to with Stephanie. But yeah, you want to say something else, guys?
I do want to say one more thing too, and outside of that, we do want to thank the fans, not just Celebrate Wrestling, but specifically, you're right. People have rallied behind the show. To those that just love listening to two fans of wrestling talking about it the way from the other side of the rail, as we say. To all the GWO, to the ACT faithful, to those that chime in, to all of us that support the show, we want to send you directly a big thank you. That really means a lot to us. You have no idea. Behind the scenes, all of us podcasters and some in professional radio, the grind behind the scenes just to get the people to appreciate how we view things is very good. And Scotty, if you don't get your shirt, Mitch will front the bill.
I will drive to Australia. Drive.
Trust me, for how much the tracking shipping cost, You probably could have driven.
Call me.
All right.
Now get to someone else before we change our minds, damn it. We're crying over here.
Yeah, right into your small glasses. All right, here we go. You know what, Stefan? Let's give you the floor here. And I know it's tough to. Oh God, you guys can't see it on the video, but Mitch and
It's
Dimitri
beautiful.
They totally did the wedding couple with the champagne thing where they lock their arms together and then drink. Oh wow, always the married dads. All right, Stefan, let's get back to. And I know it's hard to speak on behalf of Andy, and I know there's been a lot of stuff going on your guys' side of the world, and I just want to go ahead and say it in a public forum, even though you and I have had this conversation before. I truly do appreciate everything you guys do over there, too, even though it is the other side of the earth, and it can sometimes feel like that. I get it. I get it when I was doing shows and I had just people on the other end of my own country, how sometimes it can feel different, but I mean, the energy and the time you guys have put into doing the Legends and Champions shows and Andy reaching out to get some extra content and things like that, I know the fans appreciate it. I know people appreciate it. And I see the comments all the time. People are digging the stories that you guys tell about these wrestlers and about these events. So, Stefan, over to you and anything you want to say to the folks.
Yeah, obviously, on behalf of Andy and myself, we are extremely and eternally grateful for anyone that gives up an hour plus of their time every week to listen to LAC. We are just a part of a wonderful network, which I feel is growing. It's still, although it's been around for a while, I still think it's in its infancy. Like I think there's room to naturally progress and grow. I think over time, as doors open, going to radio is definitely, most certainly one of those. It's wonderful. There's nothing better to drown out the world than to sit with my buddy and talk about the golden years, the times that we remember fondly, whether it be Heroes of Wrestling, which we were dreading doing because it was such a terrible show, but
that was the best show you guys did.
Exactly. Andy and I that one. Yeah, Andy and I just look back and just go, how is it that we seem to take a terrible show and end up making a great show based on it? And I'm just like, I guess that's what we do. But yeah, obviously I know Andy arrived before I did, and when the opportunity was presented to me to come on board, I was so eager and grateful to do so and to be welcomed by all of you. I'm first and foremost a big fan of your shows, and as I've said before, I walk around supermarkets with my earbuds in, and I listen to Mitch and Dimitri, and I'm just randomly laughing my head off in the aisles in the supermarkets, getting some funny looks, and I don't care. I'm in my own world. I'm having the time of my life, and it's wonderful. And obviously, Andy and I hope one day we can, when doors open up, we can actually bring some of these legends to the listeners to share more in depth their stories. They were the ones that were there, and try and get them to bring that to everyone. So yeah, honestly, it's been a fantastic year, and here's to an even better 2026. So cheers.
With his cream soda Diet Pepsi. Yeah. And that's the thing too, it's funny, we have barely seen any degradation in the entire time that this thing has ran, and in many ways people play catch up with our shows, which I find interesting because myself and Mitch and Dimitri especially, you guys do the current event shows, but people will actually play catch up. So our first week numbers are good, but our monthlies now are getting incredible. And so thank you to everybody that still keeps us in your coffers. And I remember I used to do that too when I started listening to wrestling podcasts. I would go back and listen to things that were talking about events that were coming up to see if they were right or see if they were wrong or see if the story I heard was relevant from this angle or that angle. So podcasting and on demand, like we talked about with other stuff earlier on, is really such a different thing these days, right? So people are definitely getting engaged and getting involved, wanting to follow along again is so cool. Joe, I'm going to leave you with the final word here to say to the people here before we wrap this part of the show up.
So just to echo what everyone else said, thank you to the people out there. And as sort of the resident social media guy, I do want to give a shout out to some of the faithful, like, brother Jake Allenar from Chicago, Sal Greco, Matty Smith, Tips McGee, like South Carolina George, Devin Axman, Chris Hodnott. There's a bunch of people that make this community, this page, just really cool to be, and there's no jerks. But y'all got to remember, you're talking to a two-time Freak of the Week. Y'all got to pay homage to the man. Woo!
GW Joe promo out right there. Well, again, the GW Joe t-shirt see, now you're telling me that you want to sell a t-shirt. Before you're like, I don't want a shirt. But after a promo like that, how do we not?
We need to bring in. Joe needs his own section on a show which is just Ask Joe, and it's just like anyone can just leave a question for Joe, no matter what it is on wrestling, and Joe just gives an answer.
We were going to do a thing this year, and we still might. I don't know. We might do it in the new year, but we were going to do the Aggie Awards. It was going to be just Joe awarding things from the year. None of this, like the whole panel gets to do anything. It's just Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the Aggie Awards, probably coming in the new year.
My first unofficial one then, Haley Cameron. I love her. She gets my Aggie this year.
What do you think about Harley Cameron?
Harley Cameron. That's it. Yeah. I'm sorry. What is it? Mic check. There you go.
Yeah, you got a case of the Mitches. Case of the Mitches right there.
The Mitches.
All right. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you. I think this is where we wrap up the Holiday Hullabaloo officially. So thank you to all the guests that have come on. I can only thank, because I got a couple more in the coffer here. So the ones I know that have happened already, thanks to Bret the Hitman Hart, thanks to RJ City, and thanks to John Pollock from Post Wrestling, and to everybody else. But most importantly, if you listen to these shows, as always, thank you for listening and letting us do what we do. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all the best, you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Cheer shot. Cheer shot.
Oh, and my gift to Dimitri. My gift to Dimitri. Bookie.